Ready?
Yes. Councilman Beal?
Here.
Councilman Katina?
Here.
Councilman Phillips?
Here.
Here. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. Motion to acknowledge the minutes of September 25th, 2023.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. The next item is a public hearing. This is for the purchase of real property adjacent to Reese Park. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion. Second.
There's a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. So now we have a public hearing that's open with respect to the acquisition. If anyone has any comments, please come up to the podium.
Seeing none, I make a motion to close.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Next item is a motion to open the public portion of the meeting to discuss the agenda items.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. So if anybody has any comments on any of the agenda items tonight, please come on up to the podium and raise them.
I make a motion to close the public
All
hearing.
right. This gentleman has raised a hand as a possibility. Please come up and identify yourself, please.
Sure. Good evening. My name is David Dockery, D-O-C-K-E-R-Y, from the law firm of Becker and Polikoff. I'm legal counsel to Nature Preserve Homeowners Association. And while the item that I believe is going to be brought up for tonight isn't on the agenda per se, I just wanted to introduce myself and make myself available if the board had any questions.
Okay.
So, with respect to Nature Preserve, the Homeowners Association had requested, the original agreement that was signed had a buy-in fee, I believe of $330,000, which was paid at the time of the signing of the agreement. The Homeowners Association had requested that be deferred to be paid over time. The cost of their hookup is $170,000. There was some discussions. The Homeowners Association had requested that that be, if possible, deferred out to 6 years. I know we had
You mean
discussions.
in installments or totally deferred?
No, installments.
Installments, okay.
Over 6 years. One of the things, as we discussed at the last meeting, was with respect to extending the district to along Old Hopewell Road. And I would anticipate within the next 6 years that property would be included within the district. The current tenancy agreement, by its terms, and all of our tenancy agreements expire at the time that the property is taken into the district. So with respect to that, it kind of creates a wrinkle, is if you would extend it out over 6 years, most likely what we do on townhouses is we assess the capital charges to the individual property owners, which would make sense in this case. So rather than have the HOA pay for a period of time and then have the homeowners pay, I would suggest that we do it, the deferred 6-year payment be based on to the individual property owners rather than the HOA itself. Because one of the other things is, if it was to the HOA, people who were members of the HOA and didn't pay would get a free ride. So the properties that were in the HOA and not paying their HOA dues would, in essence, be piggybacking off the people who did, which would then create, an issue for the HOA. HOA.
So I think,
So-
part of our discussion.
But, so, just for the short answer, right now, the health department is looking for a letter from the town board authorizing them to connect to the system because winter is approaching. And what the suggestion is to delay the implementation, is to sign the tenancy agreement now that, with an amendment that says that the HOA fees will be paid later. That way we could, or just authorize me as town attorney to send a letter to the HOA saying that we agree that they connect and that the buy-in fee will be resolved at a later date.
So what are we actually then being asked to do, consider tonight? Then I have another comment.
Just basically the authorization, the least amount would be authorization to send a letter to the health department
Okay.
authorizing their connection.
Okay. Back to the HOA, then does that increase any risk or liability for the town? I think one of the concerns that was raised by the board before is making sure that we're able to collect, the monies that would be owed, on behalf of the water district, right? Because we're trustees for that, so.
So with respect to in some respects, I think if you allocate the capital expenses in the town-county tax bills to the individual property owners, it would actually be easier to collect because you then have, the individual property owners paying. If it's the HOA, depending on the solvency and the board of directors and things like that of the HOA, payment may be less forthcoming. I think if you spread it out among the individual property owners, the chances of correct. The buy-in fee is associated with the capital charges.
Right.
And we put our capital charges on the tax bills. The meter bills go, against the meter to that property, so.
So our recourse would be, let's say in that event, there was non-payment, right?
If there was non-payment,
Then the
actually,
recourse would be against the HOA?
so the recourse for non-payment of capital charges is is basically, the county makes us whole,
Okay.
and the county gets a tax lien on the property.
So basically, what you're saying, I guess both lawyers, is there's no risk to the town
Right,
in that case.
right. I mean,
Okay.
what it is that, in some respects, you're probably better off with, you're more likely to get, the HOA is never gonna sell their property. But the individual property owners would, and at that time, that person would then have to satisfy the liens against the property.
So is the reason why we're changing, because I thought we were looking at the 2 to 3 year versus a 6-year period?
Yeah, I mean, I had suggested 2 years, they had asked if, it could be extended to 6. I don't know, again, we could certainly, I mean,
Because by hooking up, don't they actually save money? Right, because they're all paying for other expenses, and it's probably what, I'll defer to Mr. Tremper here, but aren't they paying about $30,000-$40,000 a year per?
Yeah, I don't know exactly their O&M budget, because they have to pay for electric, they have to pay for wells and testing and all those things, pay for an operator to go there, so I'm sure there's expenses they won't have
Correct.
when they hook up to the town water. They'll have to pay a water bill.
And just to put it in context, currently, there's a failed well system, obviously, and water was basically a common expense. So it was handled through their budget. And I think the idea of delaying the buy-in fee and assessing each owner as a tax, as a lienable charge on inclusion in the water district makes a lot more sense. Just logistically, for a variety of reasons, as our firm has discussed with council.
So question,
I
go
would just
ahead.
like to see a breakdown of the costs, and also if we could include that Camo's real-time expenses
okay.
are covered prior to hookup.
Right, well, we have billed our expenses to the homeowners, or to the management company, and as far as I know, it's getting processed for payment. Famous words, check is in the mail, but I haven't gotten it.
But to the supervisor's point, I think we had discussed terms, so I would just like to see them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I believe from the discussions that I've had with Larry Podge's office council, and then I've seen, correspondence from the health department. Everybody wishes that we move forward. My understanding is that they've selected a contractor.
Right, and engineers in place, contractors in place. My client's biggest concern is obviously the weather. This is going to take some, bit of time. So the marching orders for my client is that letter to the health department to begin the actual shovels.
So what
down.
I'd suggest is the following subject, and I really want to defer to Councilman Bill since it's in his ward, but is that, we have Jim, you working with David, to give us a list, a summary, responding to the questions and so
Okay.
forth that we have with respect to the tenancy agreement itself. But tonight, because weather is changing and we may see, change in what has been
Right.
normal this time of year, like October, early November, is that it is a health concern. And, I have talked with the health department and they would like to see us. So I
Right.
would suggest that we authorize, probably myself sending a letter,
Okay.
but whoever the
Yep.
board would like, to the health department saying that we're authorizing them to make the connection.
Right.
However, we defer until the next board meeting with respect to any, the finalization of the agreement, which will provide us and give us a summary ahead of time. That's my thoughts, Councilman Beal.
So, again, my concern has been not only the health aspect, but public safety. We have a
Right.
hydrant that's
Yep.
being used for drinking water with, temperatures dropping here. This is a concern. That's a primary hydrant for that, fire protection for that neighborhood. So we need to resolve this ASAP, right? We talked initially about a tenancy agreement. We talked about water district expansion. We're talking about different models here that would make it more affordable based on the fact that this is as a result of a well failure, right?
Right.
I have no objection to whatever process is most affordable, as long as it's equitable to the town, right? And I understand so far we have been, billing the water as based on the formula. I get that. That's good. But most importantly, we need to get this resolved. So I have seen the correspondence from the Department of Health
Right.
today, actually, in my office, and it was at my front of mind coming in here. So I have no objection to the town issuing a letter to the Department of Health indicating that we have no objection or we authorize them to connect. That's separate and distinct from the actual
Correct.
agreement. The agreement we need to get nailed out by the next board meeting. We
Correct.
got to have this done because, again, temperatures are dropping. I'm not comfortable driving by that intersection with those hoses exposed above grade. So, again, I'll make a motion that the supervisor be authorized by the town to send a letter to Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health with respect to allowing Nature Preserve to connect to our water system. But I want to put a stipulation
Right.
that the stipulation on that motion is that this town board will be resolving the issue and the terms of the contract at the next town board meeting.
Right.
But, so I agree with your statement. The only thing I'll say to what you said is that, again, I've heard their proposal here for 6 years. To me, I don't think that's reasonable. I think it needs to be something else, but that's something we can negotiate with the terms. But I agree, you need to hook up, have the supervisor send a letter. I'm good with that.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I have a second on that proposal?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed. So Jim, would you take care of that? Make sure we get it at least a week ahead of time so that Joe can get,
We're not in a position to deliberate.
I don't need the letter.
No, I mean the tenancy agreement.
All he's authorizing him to write a letter
Correct.
saying you're allowing
Yeah.
him to connect.
Correct.
They're not going over the contract.
Correct.
Correct.
That's right.
And let me just say
the
that-
next meeting I was referring to, Mr. Clerk, is that he gets the tenancy agreement and the proposed resolution to us ahead of time.
It's nice to have something.
Yes,
ahead of time.
that's what I'm saying.
So, one question, just a consensus of the board. I think we're both in agreement that it makes the most sense to charge the buy-in fees to the individual property owners. Does the board agree with that?
So the $3,200 a piece you're talking about?
Yes.
Sounds like the safest for the town from a financial point of view.
Yeah, I have no objection from the town perspective, but also if that is what the nature preserve is proposing, I have no objection to that either.
That wasn't what they proposed, that was
Okay.
actually my,
Yeah, Jim's.
So from and I'm just looking at it from kind of like a devil's advocate here, from an affordability standpoint, right? What type of impact are we looking at on individual homeowners?
see, the reason why they're asking for the delay is because of the upfront costs of connection, which, you know, so I believe the buy-in fee was in the neighborhood of 330,000.
No, 170.
170,000.
It's 170.
Well-
170 was the buy-in.
So the engineering and the construction is going to be about 150, 160,000 to Nature Preserve right now.
Okay.
And as far as the buy-in fee, I think we just needed some clarification actually what the fees are, since these are multifamily, two-bedroom townhomes. But, you know, that's something we can
Yeah, I
iron
mean,
out
that
with the
was
actual.
another issue that was
Jim, I think
raised.
the combined number was 330. I think the buy-in fee and the construction costs were
Okay.
330.
Yep.
And then
Total.
was the terms to pay a certain amount now and then spread the rest of the cost, or was it to spread the
No,
entire
it's to
cost?
spread so the buy-in fees, my suggestion would be to pay it annually on the town-county tax bill.
Okay.
With the other, you know, once it becomes in the district, you would add that onto, you know, the costs of, which it would be in any district extension. So typically, when we do, you know, a district extension, where the buy-in fee is not
Right.
paid up front, it's paid, you know, annually on the town-county tax bill.
I think it's just a question number of years is
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Yep.
Mike, did you want to say something? I don't.
Yeah, I just had one question, because I understand the whole thing, I don't understand what Jim is talking about that much, but the letter the health department needs to give you your approvals, correct? Once you get that letter, you're gonna order all the equipment necessary, the hot box, the meter, and all those things.
That's right.
So we can get ordering the parts, right?
Right.
Because if we wait for
Right.
these things to be worked out, those things could
Oh, there's a
take
lead
some
time on
delivery
everything.
time.
Sure.
Right.
And my concern is, as Councilman Beal says, it's only like an inch and a half line. You guys don't use a lot of water, and it's all above grade, so it will, at night, you know.
It'll freeze.
we
It could freeze,
yeah, we
right.
don't-
Yeah.
We don't wanna mess with that. We don't wanna mess out there with snow and working on the hydrants along Old Oakwell Road. We just wanna get it done.
Yeah, I mean, my client's telling me, I mean, it's good, as you can imagine, the construction alone is going to take at least 6-8 weeks
Right.
minimum. So we should have adequate time to iron out the details of the agreement. Water's not going to be flowing through that new connection for at least 2 months, let's say.
So you're now October, so they're December 9th.
Right, so we're already going to have to take some steps to ensure that those lines don't freeze, but at least we can get started now and not, you know.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I got no issue with the letter being issued, but the terms of the agreement.
Right.
We got to get that ahead of time so we can come to a
Yep.
consensus, because we can't sit here in 2 weeks or whenever the next meeting is and have a
Agreed.
full-blown deliberation on terms.
Exactly.
We got to see
No,
some numbers, we got to see
That's the only
options.
term, and the last number I have in the agreement is 108,000, so it's between, and maybe, I may have misread that. I think Mike may be correct, it's 330 total.
No, Mike is correct.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Mike's
All right,
always
But Bill,
correct.
that's why I suggested that we get it well in
It's
advance
just got to
rather
be,
than
it's
waiting
got to be a
for the
priority for
agenda.
the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
And board needs to be looped in every step of the way, so that if we have any issues with these terms, we can express our objection with,
Right.
before we get on the floor next.
Yep.
But I'm all for finding a solution, and I think we're headed that direction.
I think we can speed up that construction time, so.
I think so, I mean,
think that-
right,
yeah,
right.
We'll speed that up once we get more.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you, David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments on any other item?
Nancy, you want to come up?
Yeah. I just didn't want to drive over. I was trying to get up. Hi, I'm Nancy Lo Cicero. I've met, I think, everybody before. I'm here to represent the Senior Garden Club, and I just want to give you a little bit of encouragement, I guess. I know that there's a line item up that Jessica will have for the Senior Garden Club, and I was hoping that everybody has gotten a chance, especially during the nicer days, not that now it's not particularly nice, it's getting cold fast, a little bit ahead of schedule, I think. But I just want to know if everybody enjoyed the arrangements and the new raised bed that we put in. I've gotten some feedback, but the feedback I get mostly is from the senior center. I'm not sure if anybody else has gotten any good feedback on what we've done. And so I just, so I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to let me know if you've gotten that feedback and if you had any ideas or anything, or, you know, because we have done some plants, not just the new bed out front, but we've been trying to make sure that over around by the memorials and stuff, that the floral arrangements and stuff are always there and look a little bit healthy. We've had some issues with some stuff, but I moved some plants around and I think that they're doing a little bit better. So I just really wanted to stand up and I've spoken to Jessica, and I believe that she's put in a line item in the budget for the same amount of money for funding for next year. And so I just wanted to encourage you to hopefully support that funding and that line item when it comes up in the budget later on.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay.
You've mentioned before that if that raised garden was a success, which I believe it very much has, and I think all of us have gotten, you know, very positive comments across the board. You had mentioned, though, that you might want to extend it or to expand the area.
Yeah,
Is that still in your mind? And is that covered by the budget?
That's in my mind. It was just, it wound up being like 36 hours worth of my life and over a long weekend that that was still very fresh in my mind. So, but I did get some, Mr. Frazier got some stuff delivered, some mulch and stuff delivered for me, which I very much appreciate. So he helped us out, and we saved a little money doing that stuff. So he was able to not only deliver some mulch, but then get rid of the mulch or take away the mulch that we didn't need anymore. So that was very helpful. So yeah, I'm open to the fact, but I don't think you should tell my wife that I'm open to the fact, because she got dragged into it too.
Yeah.
But I'd like to maybe put in some additional beds, and maybe if there's other groups that are interested, you know, at least share some information with them and stuff on doing that too. But I just wanted to you know, say a few words and just get an idea what you guys thought, because you are here. And so I was hoping that maybe you had some extra information or, you know, some feedback that we could take back. Because I did follow some, like everything out there in the raised bed, except for anything that's a perennial is all bee friendly, and, you know, it is natural and, you know, stuff from New York State and things like that. So very much,
Great.
yeah, we tried to do that. I'm hoping that the perennials make it through the winter, so that will, I have to do some trimming and stuff in the next few weeks, and well, I'm hoping that those things make it through the winter, so we'll see what happens.
So I can tell you, we've received a lot of positive feedback, as the supervisor said, and we want to thank you for all your efforts, because it really beautified the town hall. So thank you
Yeah,
for
well-
everything you do and your team does, because it has, you know, improved the quality of life here. So it makes things look nicer. So again, thank you for everything you do.
Okay, well, I'm glad that
And
everybody's
now we
enjoying
got water out
it.
there, so you don't have to carry those
Yeah.
buckets around anymore.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. The only other thing, I know that there's things that they have been talking about with expansion and stuff like that of here. I know it's not gonna happen next week, or anything like that, but if and when any expansion does happen here, we probably will lose our water supply. So I'll probably be bugging people at that point to
No,
try to
we'll
figure
make
that out.
sure that
Yeah.
happens.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there'll
Yeah,
be.
that will
You know,
be involved.
so,
Yeah, that'll
Yeah,
be.
but
Okay.
let me say also that, you know, I'm not around in the day much because I'm working, but I have heard nothing but positive things from people about who, you know, who's handling the beautification over there. And, you know, you and Grace and the team, I mean, you've taken ownership of this. This is a classic case of ownership. It's your project. We greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure my colleagues will agree with me when I say, take the ball and run with it, whatever you think. And we'll be happy to provide you with the resources to do what you envision, as long as it's within the budget line.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm not going crazy, that's okay.
I'm supporting the budget.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
feedback, I appreciate
Nancy's
it.
a perfect record keeper. I
believe you. Sure. Thank you, Nancy. Any other public comments? Not?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Next item on discussion is with respect to soccer club paint. Al?
Actually, I'm going to have Steve talk to that.
Okay.
The cost of the field marking paint has doubled recently, and that has put my line for that commodity short of funds to cover what the soccer club is asking for. I did look at the airport and Rockingham lines. I wanted to replace one of the countertops this year and then the second one next year of the concession stand at airport, which will use up the money that's in that fund. And Rockingham is already overspent with the improvements we've made there.
So one of the things I was looking at is, you're right, so we have about $2,000 budget for airport.
Right.
We spent about $300 already, so if you're going to use that to do the countertop. You also have a paint line, though, that has $2,000 budget in it.
Okay?
We spent about $700 on it, so we have about $1,300 left over that you could potentially spend. And I was talking with Brian Lures earlier.
Right.
And I guess the cost of the gallon going from $48 to $131. So,
Right.
you know, as you said, double, almost triple the cost.
Wow.
So the question becomes now is, what do you do? I think you got to come up with a compromise. I think you come up with a compromise that says, if they were paying $48 before, they're going to pay $131 now, whatever that difference is, $83. What you do is, maybe that might be the amount that we cover in our budget. I don't know if you've talked to Brian or not, but we need to have an invoice or something that says, this is what it's going to cost, this is what we're willing to pay. And I think that's the way you work
Well,
it.
I don't get an invoice until the sale is made.
Well, how about an estimate then?
The quote is,
Yeah, so
I have a copy of the last
Okay.
bucket that we bought. It was $131.
Right.
Versus the number that you had there.
Yep. So I guess if we can get an estimate for what he wants, because he needs 20 gallons worth. So you're
Okay,
looking
so
at
that's
20.
four, well, I had told them I have enough in the line to cover 4 buckets. And that would be 20 gallons there. They had asked me for a total of 7 buckets. So that would be 300, or 35 gallons rather.
If we need it, because he only needs
So-
20 is what he said. That'll cover him for basically spring and
Yeah, he
fall.
never got back. I had a message out to him and hadn't heard back from him.
I think what we should get is a finer estimate. If you have something that says, tell me, Brian, if you need 20, if it's $131, it's $2,600. That's what they're looking for, and then we can think about doing a budget transfer. Are they looking to do it this year, or is it for?
Well, they say they're out of paint at this point.
Okay. But
So
you have,
that's why I went down and bought them 1 bucket to get, for the current weekend they were talking about, at the price that it is. And then, from that point, I realized we had a problem, and that's when the discussion started.
what's your recommendation?
There's a lesser expensive paint at Lowe's, but there's been some problems with quality of the paint going through the paint machine. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I've been trying to get in touch with Val. I've never been given a phone number to contact Val. And I would like to speak with him directly and find out, because I had bought some of the stuff from Lowe's, I think early in the season, but they had asked me to return to the Sherwin-Williams brands, but they weren't aware at the time that the price had increased.
Going up 16.
Right, and we weren't until we purchased it.
So can you, for the next meeting, then have, an estimate or whatever, we can go on and then decide, you know, if we're gonna transfer money, we'll be able to transfer money probably from fund balance, but I wanna have something in writing that says this is what it's gonna cost, so we have an idea, and then some of it may come out of the paint line, and then we may just have to transfer more money into the paint line.
Are they willing to contribute to the cost?
Well, my proposal, it was 131 versus
Right.
48. We would contribute towards the 83 that cover the first $48 worth, because it's going up, so
Sure.
it's roughly about $1,700. So we would contribute, they would contribute the balance of
Okay.
the 2,600 or $900. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, but until I see an estimate, a written estimate.
Right,
it's kinda
and
hard to
then,
do.
like I said, if I can find out that the less costly stuff will work for them, then that difference won't be as much.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
So
Yeah, we
next
have that for the
meeting.
next meeting on the 20.
I'll do, yeah, I had expected to have it for you tonight.
Okay.
but, I wasn't able to make contact.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Judith?
So Judith had asked to speak tonight. She asked me to put her on the agenda for tonight. We've got the 4 properties we've kind of been talking about, and so I guess you're going to give us an update on that tonight.
Yes, so we have the 4 properties. 16 Dogwood has taken a permit out, so that's imminent. The security fence, if you will, has been placed. We're just waiting on cleanup of the vehicles and the debris that's in the vehicles, but we're moving forward on that. So I'm hoping by snow flies, we have something that looks a lot better than it does right now and a lot safer. 120 New Hamburg is still on target for an October 27 deadline that they have given us, that they're going to submit paperwork on. So we're following that. Nothing's changed on that. 101 Old Post Road, I spoke to the Sokals, and they are working with their consultants. They should have something to us fairly shortly. They're deciding if they're going to take down partially, fully. They're not 100% on that yet. So 1259 is Mr. Lodge's property. He has secured most of the property. He started to clear the brush and debris so that he can get some of the cars out of there, and he has secured the well opening. He has secured the back of the building that was falling down. So the safety concerns on most of them, I believe, or all of them actually, are abated. And now we're going to just move forward as what we're going to do with the property. So everything seems to be going along. I will re-notify the fire departments. I've already notified them, but I give them an update as where we stand on all those properties.
So do you want to every month kind of give an update, or how do you want to handle it?
I don't need to. I believe the only thing that I would like to be able to do is if I feel that the project's stalled, I will come back, because then I'll bring them in. But as long as they're moving in a timely fashion, you know, getting consultants, et cetera, it takes time. So I'm good with
If you
not
need our
coming
help,
unless...
please let us know, because we want to
Yeah,
help.
that's what I'd like to do. I don't need to be here
Okay.
unless I have something really I
Got
need
it.
you for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
very much.
Question, Judith, was there any movement on placard for buildings that are structurally unsound?
That is being looked into. I saw, because some of the other towns do use them, still trying to determine who is placing, who's authorized to place. So we are working on that. We looked into ordering them.
Okay,
So I can give you an update on that. I'll just send you an email and let you know where we are.
thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, next item here for discussions, bonding for highway garage paving and digester.
Frederick here?
Yep, Frederick's there.
So we have before you a request to issue bonds for the paving work that was done earlier during the course of the year. There's also some money for the highway garage, and lastly for the sludge digester improvement, totaling to $5,264,000. So the paving was authorized in earlier this year, 2.7 million, and as we have done in the past, we issue bonding for 2 years. So the 2.7 would be for 2023, and then 2024. 1.3 million for 2023, and then 1.4 million for 2024, totaling 2.7. The highway garage, we needed an additional 1.7 million based on the budget that the engineer provided.
Frederick, so this is the additional 1.7, not the original 1.2?
Yeah, this is additional, yes.
Yeah, so we did a funding in 2021 for the $1,250,000,
Yes.
and he's received all the money for that.
Yes.
But for the $1,750,000, he has not received the money on yet.
Yes.
Yet.
Yep.
So that's what we're waiting to do.
Right.
So
Again,
the
we don't
one-
want to
one-
bond it until you're going to use it, so.
Yeah. So the 1.2 million was authorized in 2021 in June. It was issued in October, so we received that money. We've been spending it. Last year we did not issue any bond because we don't issue bonds every year. We are waiting for to have other bonds so that we save money on cost. There's the rating agency. We have to call them. They have to give a rating. They're expensive. The debt council. So normally we consolidate the bonds. We have like the garage combined.
So an
with
example,
the-
that would be like for the Wildwood Sewer, correct? So
Exactly,
even though we
the
have
one
about
that we did in-
5.5 million we're going to bond for, we've only taken about $1 million of that because that's all we're required
Yes.
for expenditures so far,
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
In 2021, we bonded for 5.3 million, made up of sewer improvement, 1.1, improvement of parks, 750,000, highway equipment, 750, and then the highway garage, 2.6 million in 2021. So the 2.6 million was used in 2021 and 2022, and then it was done.
And the money sits in a capital account, right?
Yeah, so because the job was already done, POs issued, the work done and completed, we basically did an interfund loan from the A fund to the capital so that we could spend the money there, because a capital project, you don't want to spend it in the A, B, or DB. It is a project that lasts more than 1 year, and we want the accounting to be captured in the capital fund. So basically just a simple process of interfund loan from A to capital, and then when the money is received, then you just return the money to where you...
So we put the money on the balance sheet to account for the liability,
Yes,
but you also have a due from
exactly, yep.
to offset that, so it's a net zero. I got it.
Yes, yep.
Anything else? Good? Okay.
All right, so I assume that means we can go ahead and issue the bond, because we have the
So we need a
authorization.
formal resolution.
No, we don't need
No.
a resolution, we just need the
It's already been
resolution. We can-
It's, yeah,
We have to be on these already.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other
Okay.
questions? Okay. Thank you, Frederick.
Thank you, Frederick.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, actually, Bob Tompkins is supposed to be here. Why don't I see if he's coming? Let me go to the next item first and then come back. As Legends and Lore at Spook Hill Park, this is an update. The Wappinger Historical Society had obtained a grant from the Pomeroy Institute for a sign, actually, that they had proposed this a while back to be placed at Spook Hill Park. It's related to the history of the naming of Spook Hill Road, and they'd like to have a dedication of that sign. They already have it. You know, we don't pay anything, but it's on. They'd like to have it on October 28th in the morning. The trunk and treat's in the afternoon, right? So what they wanted to know tonight is whether or not the 28th would work, you know, for us to be there. The time, they were suggesting 10 o'clock, but it could be 11 o'clock. They'll have refreshments. And then the other item they asked is where would we like to locate it at the park? You know, they were proposing somewhere near the building, but we would want to make sure that we didn't detract from the mural.
Right.
You know, and I guess, Steve, had you had any thoughts or discussions? Had they reached out to you, Beth Devine, on where to place that sign?
No.
Okay. I know they received the sign, and they were supposed to reach out to you, but if not. But does the 28th work?
Yeah,
for you?
28th works. Do you want to have it in the ground before the 28th for the ceremony, I assume?
Yeah, probably. That's what
So
we
we're
would try
gonna
to
have
do.
We need to get a location then, ASAP.
Yeah. So, Chris,
Is
do you
that
have
a
any ideas?
Saturday?
Yes, that's a Saturday. Yeah. Any
Probably
ideas?
somewhere up towards the front.
Originally, I think somebody was saying, in the group, that it would be on closer to the fence, facing into the park, close to maybe where the walkway is that comes, so as people leave, and not, so you can see it
They
from
can see
inside
it.
the park, right? So people can stand there and read it. So, I mean, Jessica, I asked her to give me the dimensions of it, but it's
This is a
ma-
Pomeroy Foundation sign.
Yeah.
This is a
Huge
huge
thing.
like those New York State, those
yeah,
New York
yeah,
State
yeah.
blue and
Historic.
gold historic
Yeah, historic
signs.
signs.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
I'll be able to, I would be able to recommend a good place for.
Well, Jessica, can I have
size.
Beth then reach out to you and Steve then, and I can go out there and look at it,
The Historical Foundation did it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
because we have so much,
It should be double-sided, though.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that I just don't know. I asked her to give a picture tonight, but
I believe they
didn't get
cast
it.
those double-sided.
Yeah, so we'll
There's just
find.
a lot that's going on out there right now in terms of widening paths and
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
So I think where that walkway path is, we
Yeah.
could do it to, well, looking in from the parking lot to the right, perhaps. Yeah, but why don't we do that, and then we coordinate in the, next few days with Beth and figure out who she'd have to work. But is 28th all right generally
Yeah,
for you?
that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll make it
So,
work.
say 11 o'clock? Is that, or 10 o'clock?
What time's the trunk or treat
Trunk or
start?
treat.
What time is that?
One.
So
So
why don't
10
we
o'clock.
make it 10 o'clock?
10
then?
o'clock.
Do 10,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll let Beth know that it's 10 o'clock
Okay.
on that day.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, everyone. They'll have some light refreshments.
And also, if they can, cover it that morning.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Hey, like the memorial sign on Route 9, they had it covered.
Yeah,
You gotta cover it,
Dedication.
cover it early in the morning
Yep,
before,
yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
build that anticipation.
Okay, so Jessica, we can talk and we can reach out to Beth and Steve, and we can, the Pomeroy Foundation actually has,
That's a great organization.
it is. 2 pages, I have it here, Steve, of supply list marker installation instructions.
There's specifications, they're heavy.
Yeah,
Did that come by email?
yes.
Can you forward?
Yeah, I'll forward it to you, so.
Steve, that should take you about 3 days and about 4 guys. How's that work?
Like a,
That work out for you?
Weather permitting.
So,
No rain.
so they even have a planning a marker dedication ceremony, and it does call for it being covered.
I'm glad to hear that we are gonna get one of these Pomeroy
Yeah.
signs. I mean, there's a couple other locations that we should communicate with the Historical Foundation in the town where there should be signs. I mean, there's
Nothing in
one-
First Ward, though, right? No, I'm
Well, there's
kidding.
one in the
I'm
First
kidding,
Ward
I'm kidding.
that's notable. I mean, it's in the village. The POW MIA Park is the first one in the country, right there, for Joseph W. McDonald. That is the first POW MIA park in the United States. So that is another candidate, in my opinion, for a Pomeroy
Yeah, that's
sign.
significant.
Right.
But I'm glad that they took the initiative to do
But,
that.
they had asked me, and then I
Yeah.
said, sure, if you can get a grant to do something,
Yeah.
and then we can set some, like you said, precedent, Bill.
Yeah, good
And
work.
so Beth and their group have done a great job on
Great,
getting that lined up, so,
good work.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. I'll let her know. Then on 28th at the 11, 10 o'clock.
10.
10 o'clock, yeah. Okay, very good. Bob?
Yes.
Come on up and introduce yourself. He sent a letter which didn't realize wasn't in the packet until we got on the table, but stand at the podium and then
Oh, you're gonna
just
put me at the
identify
podium.
yourself and what you're asking the
Okay.
board to consider. Tonight is more introduction and...
My name's Robert Tompkins. I own property on Route 9, specifically 1222 Route 9. And there's a 3-family house and there's a body shop in the back. I'm trying to get water hooked up. The water loops around that emergency loop. I believe Mr. Romick got his hooked
Yeah,
up.
correct.
I don't know if it's actually hooked up or he's in the process. But I would imagine if you can hook him up, I should be able to go in there.
And you're talking about McFarland Road.
Yeah, I'd like to
Where
come in
you're-
off McFarland. It's much easier for me.
And so, you know, so in.
I would go to the body shop and then to the house. The house, I have a line that comes out to a well. It's a well house that's down in the ground, and every time we get heavy rains, it floods no matter what, somehow or another. The tank breaks, and it's always a $4,000 or $5,000 repair.
Right. And you had said to me that you would cover all the cost, you know.
Oh, yeah, I'll take care of everything.
Installation, of course, the buy-in fee, whatever.
Yep.
You know. Mike,
don't have
is
a
that
problem
the
with that.
proper location over on McFarland Road for him to tie into,
I'm
or?
trying to think, where's your body shop now? I should know.
You know where DC Collision is? Up behind Wappinger's
So
Auto
he's talking
there?
Barrister Row, so McFarland to Barrister Row,
Oh, Barrister Road.
Yeah,
the
before
water
that.
main- The water main runs right
right through there.
through the front there.
I wish I could have hooked up when they were putting it in.
Well, I mean, you know, we would come mark the water main for you.
Okay.
And I don't know, along McFarland Road, they did put curb valves in when they installed it. They might very well have left connections for you. So I can look that up and see if there's.
And you can let me know?
Absolutely.
Okay, that'd be
Absolutely, yeah.
great. So what's involved from this point?
Well, I think, you know, assuming the board doesn't have an issue.
Any objections?
Then, you know, Mr. Rand is double duty tonight, you know, so, you know, the next step would be, right now, you know, it's, you know, we would do like we did with Judge Romig, is a tenancy agreement.
Okay.
Because right now, we have to extend the water district, even though the pipe's there, the water district hasn't been extended to cover that.
So it's basically like a rental agreement, a temporary rental agreement?
Well, you know, yes and no, in a sense, it's of its own unique nature, right? You pay for the cost to connect, so there's no cost to the town. And then there's a fee for really connecting, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
You know, and then you'll pay the water bill, you know.
I know that. I'd actually look forward to that.
The only thing I would say to you, if you have a body shop, all right, that is a commercial user,
Right.
and there is a risk for cross-connection control for the rest of the water supply. So you would have to contract with an engineer to decide what type of cross-connection control device you would have to have, depending on the risk of your auto body shop, you know?
For what reason? Because it's a body shop?
Well, because if the right set of scenario happens, you can drain the water out of the body shop back into the water supply, okay?
Even though it's under pressure?
Yes. If I have a water main break on Route 9 or...
Oh, okay, I got you.
Sorry. It can draw the water back out. So if you have a high risk or a high hazard, your engineer will look at it and evaluate it and say, you need a RPZ, reduced pressure. So as soon as the pressure drops on my side,
It cuts it off.
the water just dumps out of your building. Or there's a testable double checkup. Both of them are pretty expensive, but the real expense is you have to have an engineer. He has to pick what you want, then you have to go to the health department because they have to approve all RPs, all cross-connection control devices. I'm making it sound a little more complicated than it actually is.
Okay.
It flows right through it. You know, body shops are not new. They've been around forever. So your
Okay.
engineer will say, this is what you use, and this is the size line you need. Do you have a fire protection system? Do you have a sprinkler system in
No.
your body shop? So that's gonna be a help, you know, and you'll also help you pick what size line you need and that type of thing.
Okay,
You will
so
need-
I'll need an engineer for drawings.
For the commercial.
I didn't want to get started with anything like that until I knew the town was okay with this.
Yeah,
And
you, obviously, when you got your, you know, the
Engine.
hardest thing for you will be this tenant, not hard, but the tenancy agreement and jump through the bureaucratic things, and then the actual physical connection. Our guys will, if you don't have a curb valve, will recommend where you hook in and that type of thing.
Okay,
Alright.
so what's my next move?
Well, I think we can, you know.
Can you draw up
we
a
are to
tenancy
draw up a
agreement?
Tenancy agreement and instruct Haran, get the, you know, buy-in fee amount for commercial.
And how much is
site.
that?
That's what we'll have to figure based
Okay.
on usage and so forth. And so there is a formula.
It shouldn't be that
like-
much, I mean, it's not washing cars there.
So
or
you
nothing.
have just so you're gonna have your house where you live.
I don't live there.
He doesn't live there, it's commercial.
No,
Yeah, so there's no home there, just a commercial property,
it's a small body shop,
right?
two-bay garage, and on Route 9, we have a three-family house. The water goes into that house from the back, under
Okay.
all the cement and everything. To try to go out to Route 9 and get it, big headache.
So there's two lots. two
No, same lot.
all on the same line.
Yep.
So that one service would come in. You need to have a number for the tenancy agreement. The buy-in fee, and Jim knows this way better than me, the buy-in fee is based on gallonage. So you need some kind of a ballpark number
Okay.
of what you use for that property now. And then there's I think it's a $15 times the amount of gallons you use.
Okay.
It's very fair.
So I'll meet with, and you can get a tenancy agreement ready for me?
We could draw one up.
Attorney
Okay.
has to do one, yeah.
Yeah,
What's
well,
the time frame for
I'll
something like
instruct
that?
Jim Haran, to do that.
The only reason I
Yeah.
say that is I'm a snowbird. I'm gone. The weather's cold today. I was out there.
Yeah, I think in consideration tenancy agreement, we'd like to have the details and,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
Tim can put it together, put it on for the 23rd then.
Yeah, we'll put it on the 23rd, Bob,
The tenancy agreement, so I'll have to come back
Yeah,
Yes.
to review it? Do I need a lawyer or?
I don't think you need a
No,
lawyer,
okay, yeah.
we have a template, the main issue is how much it's gonna cost.
Okay.
Right, and that's a formula, as Mike said, and we can have Haran, and you can talk with Mr. Haran, talk with me, we can set
Okay.
that up, okay?
All
And
right.
then- But get your engineer, because Mike's gonna need to look at it.
So get it right, get
Yeah,
an
and the
engineer right
Department of
away.
Health is gonna have to be involved, right?
Okay.
They have to approve
But
it,
that flows pretty well.
right.
Okay,
But you're
Excellent.
gonna have to look at these points that Mike's raised.
okay.
You know,
Well,
for the safety
I'm gonna
and
see
so
Mike
forth.
Gillespie. I'll go
Okay,
see him tomorrow.
yeah. So he's probably, Mike's, probably familiar, but he can coordinate with somebody Mike's.
Everybody seems to know Mike, so.
Okay, so we'll plan it right now for the 23rd.
So you want me back on the 23rd for the
Yes,
agreement?
yes.
Will I be signing the agreement on the 23rd?
We'll
or-
probably be authorizing, and then, if we approve it, we'll be
Okay.
authorizing it, right? So,
Okay.
but the details,
And
more
should I
information.
bring
you
a
can-
check with me for the buy-in?
Well, yeah. Well, when you sign it, so we'll
Okay.
probably, I'll get, Mr. Haran to prepare it. And
Okay.
then, we'll see where the board goes on it, but should
Excellent.
not be an issue. Okay?
I appreciate it.
Okay.
You have a nice evening.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Yep, nice to meet you.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, do you have a card so I can reach out?
I'm retired.
You seem like you got your fastball going pretty good, so. All right, I'll look out.
with all that.
I'll look you out. All right, thank you.
They have my number.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike, for
Thank you.
being here to answer the question. You're up.
Okay.
With respect to the budget and sewer. What? You forgot something?
Yeah, my hat. I'll be pleased.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Customer service.
So,
Welcome.
thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present the water and sewer budget. I did these books in August, it breaks down kind of specifics on each water and sewer district. It breaks down the numbers. More importantly for you guys, I know you're very, very busy, but it does have, for the water and sewer, shows you the graphs for the amount of flow this year compared to last year, for the water usage for each of the water districts, for the sewer usage. And it's got some helpful information, and especially, the first district in here is United Wappinger Sewer District, and when you look at the flows, it's got tri-municipal flows in there, which I know are always a hot topic. But if you read through it, and it's something we don't talk about tonight, and you come up with questions later, always call me, and I'll try to answer them. So United Wappinger Sewer District, I'll try to speed things along, but stop me if I'm going too fast. This is the largest sewer district in the town. All the sewage from this sewer district goes to tri-municipal. In the old days, it was Rockingham Sewer Plant, the Oakwood Sewer Plant, and then they've constructed new lines for 3A. There's over 3,000 customers. There's 14 pumping stations. There is several miles of sewage collection lines. And most importantly, when you read this, look at the age of the pump stations. We have several 50-year-old pump stations. And none of them are any newer than 16 years or 15 years. So our infrastructure is not getting any younger. The pipes are getting older, with the help of Mike Sheehan and the Highway Department. We have a preventative flushing schedule, so we go through and clean the sewer mains before they block up and cause emergencies in people's basements. The pump stations, we're constantly rebuilding the pumps, putting in new pumps, putting in old pumps. If you read this, there are 3 pump stations, which we really need to look at replacing. The Baldwin Drive pump station, when that was put in the early 70s, that was going to be a temporary station until we connected the tri-municipal. Well, we've connected the tri-municipal and the station is still in place. The Fieldstone Farms pump station is the same. It's an old airlift station. That also is in poor condition. Keep in mind, they run good. We keep the equipment running. There's no imminent emergencies. I don't want to paint that picture to you, but if you were to say, which ones do we need to replace, that's where we would start. And the old Myers Corners airlift station, that's right there, right across from the Leodora buildings. It doesn't serve many homes, but it's old. The whole technology or the design behind them, they threw out 40 years ago. They don't even make them anymore, so we just keep it going. So the pump stations are a big cost to operate and look at and keep them running, so we don't, we're very fortunate we don't have a lot of emergencies and, overflows and those type of things. The biggest thing you have to be concerned about with the sewer districts is inflow and infiltration. I'm sure you're all familiar with that, the intrusion of groundwater into the collection pipes. You and every sewer plant and sewer district in the Northeast has that problem. It's very expensive to address, and even municipalities who have put millions and millions and millions of dollars into it don't reap a lot of benefits from it. So you have to be careful how we proceed with that. I know Tri-Municipal is, trying to get, wants you to get going with a program. You do have some areas that need to be addressed. We've given the problem areas to CPL. They know, they go back to development from years ago when the Pondview subdivision went in and a few other ones. We know there's some problems, that you need to look at there. We do, through your O&M budget, again, when Mike is going to pave a road, we go through and rebuild all the manholes, which is a big source of I&I. So when Tri-Municipal says, what are you doing? I give them a report. I gave it to CPL. CPL gave them a report. We rebuilt a tremendous amount of manholes, and that does help with I&I. I think they're looking for something more aggressive than that. But I will say, in my opinion, and it's very hard for you guys to handle, a big contributor to I&I is sump pumps. People have sump pumps that keep their basements from being flooded, and they pump into the sewer system, and they pump in large amounts of water. Unfortunately, it's easy to say, oh, just shut your sump pumps off, but then you got residents whose basements get flooded, so it goes around and around. Some of the newer concepts for battling I&I is actually improving the storm drain network, so the storm drains are there to handle it, take the groundwater away, and then people can put their sump pumps into the storm drains. And there have even been municipalities that have gone out in their I&I program is to pay to hook the sump pumps up to the storm drains, and that's better than all the testing and grouting and all those things that we go through that aren't always beneficial. So when you look at the numbers I put together for your sewer district, this United Wappinger sewer, I look at what it costs for maintenance and repair. I look at what it costs for my people to go there, which is also the maintenance repair, any chemicals we use, and the biggest thing, not the biggest thing in the budget, but one of the bigger problems for me is electricity. All right, I had a very, very difficult time with all your water and sewer districts. The new billing system that Central Hudson implemented was almost impossible to deal with. When you're a utility, like you take care of a sewer district or a water district, you monitor your electric bills, and if you see something high, you change your pumps, or you look to a new efficient pump or something to try to keep your bills down. When the bills are all estimated and all over the map, and you can't sort them out, you can't do what they want you to do, be more efficient. I mean, everyone wants you to be more efficient, but if you're getting bills and you don't know what your electric costs are, that are all artificial bills, oh, that's high, that's low, credit this, credit that. It was a year and a half of a big problem, and I know the supervisor saw some of the letters that I had written to Central Hudson. We're finally getting it straightened out, and for next year, they're looking at some some pretty solid increases they're anticipating, and I didn't want to be behind the ball. I was behind the 8 ball for this year for electricity, but I'm getting through it. So like for the United Wappinger Sewer District, the overall budget is up 6.6%, which I'm not real happy with, but the electric is up 14%. And I think that's a good number. So, you know, if you look through it, I'm not going to go down through each one. I kind of discuss each item there, but it's a lot of money for that budget. It covers a lot of people, and we're more than fortunate. You guys have put money into your old pump stations and in giving me the tools to help keep your system running without it overflowing, considerably, especially in this rainfall. There were years ago when we had the rain like we've had recently, where we would have sewage flowing all over the roads and down into the creeks and things, and we didn't have that. Knock on something. We haven't had that. And I will say, one of the write-ups you see here is, and I look at Miss Gutzler sitting here, her sewer line on Russet Lane was put in the 70s, and it was put in backwards. It does not grade. So we're constantly flushing it. Our neighbors have all had problems. We've gotten familiar with, we could have a block party on Russet Lane. So that is something that, and it's not an easy problem to resolve, because there's a fixed elevation where it ties into Pippin Lane, and there's a fixed elevation at our pump station. But it is something that, like I said, it accumulates grease and sewer backups because it is basically level, and it's been that way since the 70s. So that's 50 years.
Do you have enough standby generators?
Right now, the only sewer plant we have, 2 sewer plants we have that do not have standby generators, and I'll get to that when we go there, are Fleetwood and Wildwood. Fleetwood is next. But for all our sewer pump stations, 2 years ago, 2 of the big stations, you guys allocated monies for Pippin Lane Pump Station and up on Sherwood Heights Pump Stations. They're both in and running. Pump station, the generators work fine. I have a couple of big tow behinds as a spares if we need them for any place. I have 3 big tow behinds. Again, knock on wood, you put a generator in, it's no good if you don't keep it up and maintenance and repair it. And maintenance and repair on generators is expensive, but that's something that we've worked on and have it done.
Not every municipality has that, because in my day job, I deal with a certain municipality in Dutchess County that had a whole system failure multiple times, and we had to bring huge generators on wheels for months at a time to maintain that system. In this town, we've had a great record of being able to keep the consistency of the systems running. And that's, not by chance. Your staff obviously understands when we have weather coming in and when we have potential impacts that we need to lean forward, and they do, which is good news. This rain that we had recently, or I should say for the whole summer, this is unprecedented. The amount of rain that we received in this region, normally we get, I think, 4 or 5 inches in the season. We're somewhere around 40 inches of rain, and this town, and correct me if I'm wrong, has been able to handle that type of rainfall without any major issues.
When I say fortunate, we put a lot of the town's money and a lot of our efforts into making that happen. But I don't like to brag, because then it comes back and bites you in the butt. But
right.
It's worked out well this year. We've had a lot of rain, a lot of, and Mike's, I'm sure, the same thing. I just inundated with there's no place for the water to go. It just piles up, and it's been good. We haven't had any.
Fortunate from Mike's perspective, but if you ask soccer and baseball, they would tell you we're not.
No, the fields, obviously, they're recreation. But the critical infrastructure in our town. Mike, I forgot you're sitting there. Without these 2 professionals, stewards of this infrastructure, we would not be as successful as we are. And the rate of rainfall, I will say, just as a disclaimer, the rate of rainfall has a lot to do with it. Luckily for Dutchess County, the rainfall of 3 inches was over 6 to 12 hours instead of Westchester, where they get 7 inches of rain or 5 inches of rain in an hour. And New York City got 7 inches of rain in an hour. So that was the same storm. We're just lucky that that's the way it landed. But for me, it's kind of a test to see how our systems hold up when we get that type of a season. So I appreciate the work that you guys do. I mean, clearing those storm drains. I mean, you're out there. In fact, they were out on Tuscany, I think today or yesterday, doing that. County DPW was working on a riser on Osborne. I mean, this is the kind of preventative maintenance that goes on that the residents don't always see, but makes a huge difference when we have these storm events.
No, and you know what, that's an excellent point you're making, because over the years, when we used to, you know, like in Midpoint Park, those people on the people on the cul-de-sac always used to flood out when we had high water, and then we redid our pump station, we put bigger pumps in, we put variable speed drives on them so they ramp up. And if you can keep the sewage out of people's basements, it's a good thing. It's good for all of us. So
Very appreciative.
And you know that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
So
We gotta be honest, even though we had a lot of rain and everybody complained and it was awful, it has helped the wells, the people that have wells. I have to be honest with you.
So
there will be no drought
Sorry,
this
there
year.
will not be a drought.
So and you know this is what happens when you do this for as long as we have. You spend every weekend hoping it rains, and my wife will go, "What do you mean you want it to rain? We're doing it." I said, "I don't care. You get water, and it makes it easier." So
Yes.
you're to a point where now we've gotten too much rain. So
Yeah,
so the next, all your sewer plants are in a state of flux. The Fleetwood sewer plant, small plant down that serves the Fleetwood subdivision. The DEC, even though that plant runs perfectly, discharges into a storm drain system. It was put in the 60s, and the cement is starting to give away a little bit, but we've patched it. We've redone the whole system, train several times. We're still down there working on it all the time through this O&M budget. The DEC has deemed that the effluent, where it meets the permit it was given in the 60s, they're going to update that permit, and it will not meet the new permits. And this is the same as they've done at Wildwood and the same they've done at Midpoint. So that'll be a plant that you're in flux on what you got to do. You either got to look to rebuild what's there to meet the new standards that they've given, which they haven't. I don't think they've given a permit for there yet. Or you have to look to disconnect that, take it offline like you're doing with Wildwood, and go to tri-municipal or some regional plant.
Yeah.
I mean, all those things are a fact. CPL will look at those costs and determine what to give you guys the alternatives for it. Even though I've taken care of the small plants in the town for years, initially I've always said to you, I think regionalization is the best way to go. But sometimes the costs, you have to look at the costs, and that's something that you guys that's a difficult thing for you to look at sometimes, because regionalizing the way it works now isn't, may not be the best bang for the people of Fleetwood. But at least then you can get some of the surrounding people. So when you look at the Fleetwood Sewer District budget, it's up 4.5%, but Central Hudson's up 25%. So again, and I'm not villainizing Central Hudson. They got to make electricity. They got to make it green. They got to do those things. I'm just saying that when I factor in, not only did, a year ago when I was here, we were still having trouble getting equipment and delays and all those things. That's kind of going away, but the prices went sky high then, and they haven't come back down. Nothing's come back down. So when I hear Steve's paint going up from 48 to 131, that's what's happened in the water and sewer industry. Keep in mind, even when you, like Fleetwood, the DEC says you need to go to a better plant, and you sign a consent order to do that, you still have to operate the plant. We can't just not, and we have to maintain it, keep it running, and keep from having odors, because there are some nearby neighbors down there, and we've had pretty good luck with it. But Angie, I know that's your ward. If you look at the book, you can see we're far below the limits that the DEC has given us, but they're going to give us new permits. And when you get to Midpoint Park, it's the same situation. You're in a consent order there. Your plant, your flows are over your Speedies permit, all right? Your Speedies permit is like 66,000 gallons a day. You've done a lot of I&I work there. when it's raining, you flow 130,000, 120,000 gallons a day, even though, despite the flows being over the limit, the makeup of the water is still below the limits that DEC gave you when the plant was built. So the BOD, suspended solids, coliform remover, all those things are in place. It's just your flows are high. And if you look at the graphs, you can see that, and they demonstrate that. And it seems like, the flows are high, but on a small plant like that, the difference between 120 and 67,000 gallons a day is 40 gallons a minute. Think of 40 gallons a minute, which, it's like what if you have a pool pump and you spread that over an entire sewer district and you have to take that out of the system. And that's a complicated issue. So it's not as throw hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars at it, we can take it out. It's hard. And then especially in the wet area, you have there, Al, some pumps come on and that's 30, 40 gallons a minute right there. So,
So what you're saying is, before you spend millions of dollars on trying to find a solution to something that equates to 40 gallons per minute, you may spend the money and still not see an outcome, because it may get canceled out by the sump pumps kicking on.
Right. Yeah, and you have to, and that's what I'm saying, is you have storm drains that you can improve. I'm sure Mike's infrastructure is older than my infrastructure, and you improve the storm drains, or think outside the box. So, and if it costs X amount of dollars to design for this, and you got a small plant, you got to put something bigger in there, design for a little bigger plant. So, but I just caution you. People go, oh, you got to solve your I&I. I've been around a long time. It's not that easy to solve, and just throwing money at it, that doesn't necessarily it might satisfy the DEC, it might satisfy, the regional facility, but it may not actually work. And I think there's communities. I think the village of Wappingers has got some can support that.
Well, I know you made some upgrades a couple of years ago over at Midpoint, so that was good. And I also appreciate you only going up 3.8% in your budget, and most of that's Central Hudson.
Yeah.
More than that. So the question is, do you have enough in there, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm pretty happy when I put these budgets together. I try to keep them bare bones, because the people that pay them, I look at them as my customers, just like you look at them, how they vote for you, and I don't want to make the numbers high, but with the exception of unforeseen emergencies, I've never had to come back to you and say, I'm short for this, I'm short for that. I work everything around and make it come out.
Mike, to Councilman Casella's point, on those two plants that don't have the emergency generators, I know you had a fleet of them at one time.
Right.
Where are you at with them now, like he asked?
So, like at Fleetwood, to get back to Fleetwood, all right? Fleetwood is a gravity system, unlike where Al's plants are or the other pump stations. So if we have a power outage, we can manually feed the chemicals in, and the blowers shut down. We may have untreated wastes go through for a few hours, but nobody gets a backup in their house. And if we're working with Central Hudson and it's going to be, 4 or 5 days with no power, then we can tow one of our portable generators down there and hook it up. I would love to see you put a permanently installed generator at Fleetwood, but at this point, we're such in a state of uncertainty of what they're going to do there, whether you're going to rebuild the sewer plant, whether you're going to put a pump station there, what the DEC is going to do and what the outcome is going to be. I would just recommend we do what we do. If it was a situation where a pump station failed, there was no generator kicking on, I would be the first, let's not wait, let's just do it for that. But that's not part of the treatment there. It's more or less a treatment thing. And our guys are pretty good at, you can shut the air down for a while, let the microorganisms settle out, disinfect, make sure the back end is disinfected, and protect the water's pretty good. Not for days, but for 6-10 hours, that's not a major problem. And that goes, the next sewer plant after Midpoint is Wildwood. And that again has no generator. And you're in, CPL is putting in a pump station and pumping the wastes to Tri-Municipal. I believe that's gonna happen within a year, year and a half. I'm not sure of the timetables. The DEC has requested, the original facility did not dechlorinate and did not have post-aeration. They have asked, because there was some confusion in how long it's taking and everything, if I could field implement a dechlorination system and a post-aeration system, which I have done, and that's reflected in this budget. So if you see the numbers are up slightly more than the other ones, it's up 8%, Central Hudson's up 16%, but a lot of that is the dechlor chemical is expensive, and the additional lines for post-aeration and the additional there. But we can do it, and hopefully within a year, year and a half, that facility will be, there'll be a new pump station there, and when a new pump station comes in, that will have to have a generator, sized for the pump station, not sized for the sewer plant.
What does the generator go for?
It all depends on the size, Al. If you're gonna put one in with a transfer switch and everything, you gotta be looking at spending around $80,000. And again, if you're looking at one to power United Wappingers water, you'd be looking at 3 times that cost. If you're looking to power a smaller facility, it could be half of that cost. So it all depends on the size of it. And the makeup of what you use for fuel. Natural gas is more expensive than diesel for generators, and to be honest with you, diesel generators we've had better luck with than the natural gas ones, but if gas is there and it's available, you hook into it, then you don't have to worry about fueling it in a storm and all those other things. But they make the generators today with self-contained tanks. Your operator just has to make sure it's full of fuel, so when, as Bill says, when you get a forecast of lousy weather, you just make sure that you have enough, and they'll run several days.
I mean, just do what I did. Ever since I bought the generator for my house, I haven't lost power, and that was 2.5 years ago.
It's like buying a new snowblower. It never snows, so it's good.
So,
It's good.
and by the way, with respect to generators for critical infrastructure, they are an eligible expense under hazard mitigation funding, which is federal funding that the town will be eligible for in fiscal year 24 to 5. We're finalizing the planning process by June of 24. So the object of that game is for the town to provide a number of shovel-ready projects that meet hazard mitigation standards, and generators for critical infrastructure are an eligible expense. So we can talk about that in 24, depending on what direction we're going. But again, the feds can pay for that since it's going to be for supporting critical infrastructure.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Good. So that does it with the sewer budgets. You see the numbers we discussed. Is there anything else on the sewage end of it? So the water budgets are even more interesting. United Wappingers Water, that's our biggest district, has over 4,000 customers, many commercial, many non-commercial. Much of the distribution system is 50 to 60 years old. Several fire hydrants. We have 3 different well fields, 2 booster stations, 2 storage tanks, 3 chlorine detention systems, 11 supply wells, and several pressure reducing stations throughout the town. And it's a pretty complex water supply. We have really focused on leak detection and leak repair. And again, the highway department helps me with these water main breaks and the work all the way through. And we've, thank goodness, we've had good luck getting our water main breaks repaired in less than usually a few hours they're fixed, 4 hours are fixed. If Mike didn't send his guys out with the Vector to do that, it would be a very, very long time.
We got a couple of them. Actually, just did one this year on Joel Place there for us. So I know Mike's team was out there as well with the Vector, and literally a couple hours. So
it's a big help.
So thank
the production at United Wappingers Water District in the summer, our peak flows get to be like this past summer, it was wet, so it was 1.2, 1.3 million. We average in the summer maybe 1.1, 1.2. This time of year, we're averaging less than 1 million gallons a day. You have the capacity of over 2.4 million gallons per day of production. You only have 1.6 million gallons per day in storage. You should use that as a rule of thumb before you go. When I come here, and I'm
I'll be here, I hope, for a long time, and I tell you, we're nearing, you're gonna have to build a new storage tank
On
someplace.
top of Carnwath.
And I think it's a perfect spot.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, because that will serve that side of town, and I agree with that. So you do have capacity, all your water is filtered. Keep in mind that I've talked about this before, and I've worked with CPL on it. We do have some production wells that produce high volumes of water. The filters that you have on your well field, they produce a very safe water. Capital-wise, they were fairly, listen to me, inexpensive to install. They weren't, not inexpensive, but they were reasonable to install. They have a pretty expensive operation and maintenance cost, because you don't clean them, you don't do anything with them. I take them out and throw them in the garbage, and that's what you do. Some of our wells are, when I say they're dirty, they're not bad, but they foul the wells, they foul the filters very rapidly. And if you were to run those, I could produce clear water, but they're not efficient to operate. So, you know, I have geared the rotation of our wells and the rotation, Camel has, not me, has geared the rotation of the wells based on the efficiency of the water and treating it. At some point, we would have to look at engineering maybe a different. They make some very, very nice systems now that you can clean the filters, just like your pool filter, you backwash it. I'm simplifying it, but a membrane filter would be very comparable to that. And that would certainly increase the amount of water that you could use with, and make it more an efficient operation.
How many wells do we have on board today? We have 8?
You have 11 wells.
11? Wow.
And you know, some we use readily and every day, and some other ones we hold on standby. And you know, I hold them on standby because of the difficulty to treat them, not because their water isn't there, not that the water is polluted or unsafe. It just fouls the filters quicker. Every one of your wells is tested quarterly for PFO and PFOAs. The limit in New York State now is 10 parts per trillion. That was one of the lowest limits set forth in all of the states. But the fear is the EPA is now coming in and saying there's no acceptable number for PFOs and PFOAs. So that's a great thing to say, and I'm all for having safe water. But that's something we have to be on board with, because that's going to be a big cost to then treat, because that's a carbon filtration system. We operate 2 big ones in New Windsor. We filter a couple of million gallons a day water there, and they work great. But when you rebuild them, it's expensive. It's something you have to deal with. So when those, and I've sent over to Jim and the supervisor some, you know, ways to, some different things to get involved with. When we have to meet those numbers, we won't meet them. We won't meet them. Our number is 10. We're routinely around 5. And 5 parts per trillion, I can't tell you what a minuscule amount
That's like spitting in the ocean.
Yeah, so we're very good with where we are, and we do test them, and we look at them, and report the data to the health department, and you know, it's going to be complicated for everybody. Just like New York State, they implemented this new rule, and I don't think any regulatory person in New York State or Dutchess County had any idea how many wells were going to show positive for PFO and PFAs. It's all over. I mean, it's all over. Individual wells, people's wells, all those things. And it's expensive to test for.
And they're without rhyme or reason as to where it pops up.
You know, they were hoping it would be just airports and the fire. It's everywhere you look.
That was their theory. I mean, they identified a number of locations and said firefighting foam, but then when you went upstream, you had it. That was a...
Well, they don't realize PFOAs are in, like, frying pans, things like that.
It's microplastics, really. I mean, it's unrealistic to expect those new standards that they're proposing to be reachable in any short-term period for municipalities. I mean, I understand what they're saying, but at this point, you got to give municipalities an ability to adapt over a time period. You can't just snap your fingers and change the standards.
You know, and this is a Mike Tremper thing, not a Camo thing, but we've let things go on for years and years, and now they expect the municipalities to clean up stuff that we've let just slide forever. I mean, Teflon's people knew Teflon was a problem when they first came out with frying pans.
Right, and it wasn't even municipalities on the local level that, quote, let things slide. These were
That's what I mean.
acceptable practices for decades, in the 70s, that we have to try to meet standards today.
So how often do you test? Like last time you tested this was 2021. Do you test like?
No, we test it quarterly. Every well is tested quarterly.
Because it says here, okay.
And if it's something in there, I'll correct it. I test it quarterly. Every well is tested, even the ones we don't,
This
we
one
use.
says last time was 2021. So.
Yeah, that probably needs to be changed.
Okay.
And our municipal water, just like, other municipal water, is held to the highest standard. I mean, we as a town also require well testing on a, on the property that's sold. Of course, I supported that, and then I fell victim to it when I bought my house. But we do that to ensure good water quality, both on the well side for private property and on the municipal side, because it's held to a higher standard. So when people come in here and want to connect to our water system, I also look at it from the standpoint that they want optimal water.
That's right. That's right. And you have a lot of, on that note, you have a lot of water main that go by homes that aren't connected. Mr. Tompkins, I gotta look into him, and George Silvestri tied in, the preserve. The water main goes by a lot of people, and 5-7 years ago, everybody was wringing their hands over chlorides, salt. That was the pollutant of the month then. But this PFOA thing and PFOs is going to be, and it's actually salt isn't. I mean, I guess if you have high blood pressure, it's a problem. But this is a real carcinogen and a real concern. So. The more people, that you can get off of their individual wells, and, the town there's a lot of old homes, and 100 years ago, people didn't drill wells with the precautions that they just found water, shoved the pump in there, and away you went. So, we have to.
They have,
what?
They have their septic system on small parcels, obviously. We've seen, septic systems and wells too close to each other.
Yeah, it contaminates.
And then you have a well, and you need a water softener, and that regenerates into the septic tank, and that goes into the groundwater, and it's
a
just
lovely circle.
It's just the circle of circle of life. So
Just gonna say.
Yeah.
so the United Wappingers Water District, the budget overall is up 5.8%. The electric there is up 28%. The money to get the water out of the ground down by the Atlas well fields and drive it up the Cider Mill Loop is expensive. It is very expensive. But the cost in there is also to address the additional water main breaks, the maintenance of the equipment, and all those other things. But the overall budget is up 5.8, which is a little high. Like I said, that we have really focused on repairing leaks. We have a whole leak detection system that we go out and look for them, fix them. The new meters, I think the new meters have been a success. I believe the billables are up for that, and it seems like the usage is down. And I don't think, I'll say I'm not 100%, but at one time the amount of meters that had to be installed was ridiculously high. I think we're only down to the ones that won't respond to the letters.
There are about 50 left is what I
50 left, which is very good. At one time, we didn't think we were going to get there. The Fleetwood, the next budget is the Fleetwood Water budget. The Fleetwood Water District buys all their water from the village of Fishkill. We make a concerted effort. The distribution lines and the homeowner lines in Fleetwood are not great, so when they leak, the amount of water they have to buy goes up from the village, and it impacts the budget pretty quickly. A leaky service that goes unaddressed affects it pretty good. So we've got the water down this year. The number I put in the buying water is very similar to last year. The other items there's not a big Central Hudson, but there is a big effort to fix the leaks. The increase is like 5.4%, but it's only $3,000. So it's not a huge number, but the percentage is considerable. And it's not a Central Hudson thing, it's just the cost of taking care of that station. and the people there. In fact, they might have had a little low water today. The village had a water main leak on Osborne Hill Road, but they were getting it fixed. We didn't put a notice up because they were getting it fixed before. I didn't think it was going to be a problem, so I didn't go on the website. The last water district we take care of is the Watch Hill Water District, and I know Frederick and Dick are gonna miss the people. We miss the people from the Watch Hill Water District. We spent a lot of time meeting with them over the years. That's the 127 homes off Park Hill Drive. They buy their water from the town of Fishkill, and the system was put in very shoddy on rock. There was a lot of people there whose meters didn't work. We did a lot of repairs there. We brought the amount of water they have to buy, and we reduced their rates considerably there. Correct, Frederick?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that budget there hasn't really been greatly affected. You know, and that was the other thing I wanted to say is it seems like we have a very good system now, and the town hall people are good. When we do have a water main break or we're anticipating an outage, the website, the Facebook things, there's really a very good communication that I think has been very, very successful. Flushing hydrants and those things has really worked.
Well, your office lets us know right away. You know, we get the draft, back to you, and then you
Yeah,
get
it
back
goes
to
back
us,
and
and it
forth.
goes
Tom
out
Barr
within a matter of
I'll
time.
say this, Tom Barr,
Great.
he does a great job with that, and it works. It really works. It makes it easier for everyone if the people know what's going on.
The other thing your office does now is notifies the fire departments when there's water system issues,
Right.
hydrant testing and everything, and that is greatly appreciated. In the past, it was done, a little bit less consistently, but now it's all the fire chiefs in the town are notified. It doesn't matter where it's happening in the town. This way, if there's an incident, the mutual aid departments will know as well, which is really good.
Yeah, I mean, you had that meeting with the firehouse, and I wasn't there, my brother Jim went, and
It's great.
ever since then, it seems like it's been good, and
Yeah.
the guys don't always respond, but they're thankful for it when you see them, so,
Well, they may not respond to the emails, but they are receiving them.
yeah, no, it's good, it's good. So is there anything else with the water or sewer budget that you guys have any questions on, or anything that I can help you with while I'm
I
here?
just want to thank you for the great work that you have always done.
Well,
This town.
I will be asking you to my agreement runs out in the end of this year, so I will be asking to renew the existing agreement for 5 years.
Send it to us, please.
Yeah, pardon me?
Send it to us.
Yeah, and that's what I would request, and it would be the same agreement, and I
tell you,
know my hair is gray for a 35-year-old guy, but I'm not going anywhere. I just want you to reassure you. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I plan on.
You're not going to free agent status, that's for sure.
No, I'm not, and, I've been very happy working here, and you guys have always treated me very nice, and I greatly appreciate it.
So I got to tell you, you do outstanding work. You and I work very well together. I know we've gone out on a number of customer issues, and you've always been there supportive. I mean, we've been inside houses, replaced pumps, we've done all kinds of things. I haven't actually done it, but you've done a lot of great work, and people love the work you do, and you make us look good.
Well,
You really do.
That's what I'm supposed
So
to
thank
do.
you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, man.
And if you have questions,
Very much.
you can call me
I know where
anytime,
you are.
because I know you're gonna take these home and read them, and Al's
read it.
already found a couple of mistakes in it, so.
Al may read it.
So before he leaves, he
Thanks,
hates
Bill.
when I do things like this, but I wanted to thank Mike and KMO for providing us with clean, healthy water for our carnival event. They sponsored that for us.
Excellent.
Well, Jess had asked if we could use the Schlott House water, and I could just picture us being out all weekend working on the Schlott House, so it was easier for me
Yeah.
to.
Get a tanker.
To pay for Trunson.
And that's literally how he put it. He goes, you know what? I'm gonna get your tank.
Oh, you brought a Tronsolito?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike
okay.
paid for it,
Oh,
so.
thank you, Mike.
Yeah, they brought it in. It was on the side of
Thank you.
Slide House Park there, right underneath the building.
Thank you.
For everything.
Thanks, Mike.
Next week.
Yeah. Mike, highway.
Highway.
All right.
You ready, Mike, or do you want us to skip ahead to somebody else?
I'll leave so you can say crap.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, the highway department has the same issues as Steve and Mike and everybody else with the price of everything going up. We have over 50 vehicles that we maintain between machines and trucks, big trucks. We also have probably close to 2,500 basins that we have, we probably rebuild about 200 of them a year. And that's concrete, block, Portland, cement, all that. I know I went a little high on everything because I don't know what's gonna happen with everything going up, like steel, everything. The maintenance on the vehicles are just crazy. The salt had already gone up.
How you doing with salt anyway? Do you have a full storage? You
We're just about full.
have 4,000 tons in there almost?
We got about 4,300 tons in it right now.
Good. And how long was that last year? Like, is it?
It depends, like, knock on wood.
Mother Nature.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hear anything good about this winter
Not
out,
at all.
Nah.
so,
And you have to place another order for this coming year?
yeah. Well, I still got material now, I can still get it. Like I said, I'm about 3/4 full. I usually wait on the village, because they participate in our, putting our stuff in there, but it's been very quiet, I haven't heard anything from them.
Are you required to take a certain amount, like?
Yes,
I think Councilman- so, yeah,
3,500, we got that already,
Okay.
and I had, like 1,500 from last year.
So you replaced the store, all that?
Yeah, it's good, like I said, that the salt bin will hold up to 5,000
Yep, okay.
ton. So we're pretty good with that.
I thank you for taking over the maintenance of the vehicles for the town.
Yes.
That's gonna save
Yeah.
it along with the
Yeah.
inspections, so that's working out well.
Yeah, about the gas, and the diesel and stuff, that's the whole department, that's our department and the town hall's department and town hall that uses the gas and diesel. So, and I raised that up a little bit also, because everybody uses that. It's not just the highway department, like Steve the Rec, mowers, I mean, the mowers were going crazy, they're still going crazy, for gas this year.
And it's only gonna get worse based on what we've seen now, right?
Yeah.
Oil prices going up.
But the gas actually went down a little bit, I see.
it's gonna go back up.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to go back. Well, it's that time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a recycling center, I was looking at your year-to-date actuals. It looks like you're about 120,000. Your budget this year is about 140, and that's what you kind of kept it flat. You think you need a little more money in that?
I've been working with Mr. Paoloni over there, and we're coming up with different solutions.
Okay. I just want to make sure you have enough to cover what you need.
Yeah, I think we should be fine now with
Okay.
that.
You have a new truck coming in, right, the Vector?
The Vector it was in November, but like everything else, everything's hard to order. Of course, it will be here December.
Excellent.
Hopefully the second week by December there, it should be in. It's being built as we talk.
Is there any areas that you think we should, take another look at? I know you're a little bit high on some of the things like you
Yeah.
talked about, and we'll manage that. But is there any other areas that you have concerns with that, you need?
No, I pretty much added, I mean, I went up high on everything now, because again, I don't know what's gonna happen to us. If the winter's a bad winter, and, I mean, we got 1 million dead trees in the town right now. And I'm gonna start next month, we're gonna do a bunch of them, but, some of them, a lot of them I'll probably have to contract out.
Okay.
So,
Do you have money in your budget to contract out?
yes.
Okay, good.
Yep. Again, we can do a lot of things ourselves. So,
You mulch most of them at the yard, don't you?
well, at the end, once a year, twice a year, it all depends how bad the storms are. We have Rancourt up there, I just ground a lot.
Okay.
And we bring some out to the airport, and they come out there and take it, instead of coming to the shop. And they can do it on a Sunday, they can do it anytime they want. A lot of retired people, they go out and grab it.
When do you start looking at roads you're gonna pave next year?
I've been looking at them, Al, and I'll have a list. I can probably get it to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Maybe even less than that.
Okay.
Make sure Ward 1's got a lot.
Yeah.
I was more thinking like Fourth Ward.
Morrowville from the T down.
There you go.
That road at the very end down by Creek Road, I don't know what happened to it, but that's in pretty bad shape. We
Yeah.
put a lot of time into that. miscellaneous blacktop, and, like a ton here, a ton there, and it's just getting worse, so.
The water runs right down that road, I think.
Yes.
That's probably what it is.
Yep. Is there any other?
Good, thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Thanks.
All righty. Everybody enjoy your night.
You too.
You too.
Steve?
I pretty much kept the budget the same numbers as last year, but what I'll do then is mention the ones that did need some adjustment. The payroll numbers reflect the contract pricing for the salaries. And if you notice line 7110.116, I added an automotive mechanic. Currently, I'm doing all the repairs on the machines and equipment, which has pretty much kept me from doing any of the project list. We're at the point now where we have enough vehicles and equipment that there's nearly always something needing attention in there. And we are actually experiencing some backup as well. So I put that in there. The salary number I used was recommended by HR. She had done some research on what that number has been on average around the county.
I'm not seeing it.
I'm sorry?
I'm not seeing it in our spreadsheet, 7110.116.
Yeah, it's in there.
Right.
116B.
Right.
It's a B.
It's B.
Yeah, we're in the B budget now, B fund, I guess you call it.
I gotcha, I'm in the A's. Okay.
Then going down to parks equipment, I would like to get a contractor van, which is commonly called like a plumber's van. It's a enclosed utility body on the back of a cutaway van chassis. 80,000 is the number that I had been finding them on websites available. I'll come back to that after we do this review. I've actually come up with an alternative here that might be
Can I just
attractive.
issue one question? So you have in here in 130B, you have a Greenway Trail Warden Gate, 44,000. What is that?
I actually can't answer to that one. It wasn't in my proposal. I really, now this is something too that I've had questions about since I started here. I don't know anything about this Greenway system,
Okay.
but it seems to be related to my department. So, yeah. I do know, I can tell you that both Greenway wardens have retired.
Yeah, so we don't.
Looks like it's a new addition to the budget.
I think, because, is that possibly for a gatekeeper?
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
what it was. Well, we had discussed the trail warden, gatekeeper,
that
whoever
would
we
be for the
appointed,
parks,
which, if we were to
Yeah,
do
see, it's
that,
not-
that's what it's there for. If we were to do it.
That question's come up a number of times through the year on opening and closing parks and restrooms. I did leave that one there. Let me see what I got highlighted next.
So does the 404B, which is your porta potties, that assumes the new, we're kind of going to
Yeah,
basically cleaning?
I'd have one ahead of that. I put Robinson Lane, I've increased that by 1,000, because that historically has been overspent.
Yeah, we're at 7,300, you have 5,000
Yeah.
budget.
And then, yes, correct, that reflects the bi-weekly cleaning
Okay.
now. And then we go down to KMO water, and that reflects the price increase that they had projected to me. And that's the daily water testing on the facilities that we have wells. That's required by the health department. 413 is clothing allowance, and that has been adjusted to reflect the amounts written into their contract. Pest control, I increased that to include the sports museum that had been started this year, so that would
Did we
be
do
the
that?
current.
Did we actually do something this year on that? Did you?
Yes, that's been addressed.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
We finally made all our connections.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Flat House Park, we still have the same flat 5,000. We only spent, according to this, $55. But do we want more money in that account? Is there more things we can do over at the park there, or is that more of a capital project we
Well,
talk about?
you know, there's been a lot of talk about doing something with the stage. The stage is going to be quite a bit more money than what's in that fund, but the stage is in need of repairs as well, you know, so I did
Well,
leave
we
that
have the
amount in there.
electrical box, everything.
Right, there's quite a bit of work that needs
Lot
to
of
be
work.
done there. Yeah, that's probably going to require some future discussion on where, you know, what direction we're going to go there.
Steve, I see the 417B, because you were just talking about it, you have $1,300 in for the...
Yeah, that doesn't reflect the new price. I submitted this in August, so that's not reflecting the new price. I also need to talk to you about the beam clay out at Robinson Lane. This last load that we got recently was $3,900.
And we only authorized 35.
Yeah, I increased that then to today, I wrote down that we should need to increase that to
Yeah, 'cause we have
4,000.
3,500 in here.
Right.
When the prices on items get so high, is that something you could try to source?
I shop around, yeah.
Like the
I shop
county or
around as best I
state or
can.
anything like that, no?
The beam clay, we pretty much are stuck, well, not stuck, but
Yeah, we're a vendor.
we need to use that company because it matches what's out there.
Right,
It come, you know, if you start shopping around, you're gonna get it in different textures and colors. So it wouldn't match with what they're accustomed to using.
Back to the stage for a second. I sit on the main advisory council for BOCES, and there's been discussion about doing projects around the county. Might be something to explore.
They built the first one.
Oh, did they?
They built that one.
Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah, rather than us having the bond, if they can provide grants or whatever, that would be great.
Yeah, I think the town may still be responsible for materials, but, you know, just something to think about.
But we ought to fix, as the supervisor said, we ought to fix the electrical on that stage there. That really needs to be fixed. That's a safety issue, I think.
Well, yeah, no, but priority is electrical, but you're right.
Yeah, we need to do some structural, but to seal it as well. It's more than the electrical, because it's in the condition it is, because the closet it's in isn't tight. Yeah, it's old.
And it's not just the box, it's the electrical out to the Christmas tree. Of course, we
Right.
need a new
Yeah,
tree.
right, sure.
You know, and if we do get different weather conditions between now and Christmas, you know, we can't continue to have those extension cords going out there over boxes.
Right.
Right? You know, there needs to be a new conduit out there.
So if there's any questions, that pretty much covers all the changes I
have a couple
I needed to
for you.
make. Yep.
457, which is tree service. Right,
Yes.
so we have $10,000 in there. We have a lot more work to do with Robinson Lane, as you're well aware. They've got some of the lights that are covered by trees, so you can't, they don't light up the field. So things like that, we need to.
I actually wanted to bring that up, and I'm glad you did. In addition to that, the ash trees.
All done.
I'm running into big problems with these ash trees, you know, that have been killed by the emerald beetle. And, you know, typically if we can take a tree down without any risk, we'll do that. But if it's at all risk of damaging something else coming down, that's when I contract the work out. And I'm finding more and more of that now with these ash trees. you know, we own all these common properties that had a lot of the ash trees on them. Yeah, so I bet you could safely double that amount that's on there.
I got one more for you, and you didn't put this in last time, I did. I was after the fact, 461, which is Wi-Fi out at Robinson.
Yeah.
I should put some money in that too, because we're paying for the actual cable bill out there.
Yeah, I think that goes on a different, we can speak with Frederick about that.
Okay.
Because I've got him covering all the Wi-Fi out of a utility line now.
Okay.
Because I hadn't been advised to include that in the park numbers. And it was putting me over on the park numbers there, where we do have the internet service for the alarms.
Okay.
But yeah, that is something that should need to be addressed in that line. I do want to mention too that I added a line at the end.
Shop supply.
Yeah, shop supplies. Because I have a number of items that I can't charge to another line that we typically use throughout the parks, such as trash bags and chemicals within the barn there that we use for the maintenance and such. So I put that in there, and some of the safety equipment that we has.
It's almost like a miscellaneous expense.
Right.
Got it.
Steve, at Morris, do you know if there's power to those lights?
I don't. I've never been shown where the switches are for them either. They haven't worked since I've been here.
I was just wondering.
A lot of the residents are asking.
There was service to it, that's why.
Yeah. It could very well be that there is power to them.
Somewhere.
But yeah, they're going to need a lot of attention if we wanted to put them back in service.
All of them. I was just wondering if there was at least service to them.
The cables should still be there. There's no reason they shouldn't be.
Where it comes from is.
I don't know where the switches are to test them. If we are finished with, I
just have one more
forgot to mention also in the payroll section, I took 5% of the total amount of payroll to put in a contingency line for storms and special events and such that I would need to cover outside of their regular hours.
One last for you on Pine. Sorry about that. We were talking about buying the pickleball holders, I should say, for this year. Did you were able to see if you could get those?
They're at the barn.
Oh, you have them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The ones I was talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, great. All right,
I didn't see much point in putting them out there when the construction's going on.
Excellent. By the way, they do start on Wednesday, so they're starting tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to unlock the gates, or have you unlock it tomorrow, and then we got to put a chain around the tennis courts, because they're going to be doing both tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you.
If we can go back to that van, I have been watching Marketplace, and
Thanks, Steve.
this is a retired fire rescue truck, which has a larger body of higher quality than the one I'm looking for, and is available for $22,000. The photos show it to be in like new condition. Bill can attest to how this came from a volunteer fire department, and myself and Bill both know that how these are maintained. They're checked weekly. All the fluids are checked. They're changed on a regular basis. This truck looks like it's brand new.
What year is it?
It's a 91.
It's only got 30,000 miles.
It's got 30,000 miles on it. This truck is designed to go 300,000 miles easily. And I could easily say that we could get 20-year service out of that truck.
I talked to Steve about this because we had gone through a number of years here where we were buying school bus, those vans and stuff, and he was only getting 3 or 4 years out of those because the bottom would rot out.
And I'm at that point again with what we're using.
So for a work truck, for 22 grand, this might not be a bad investment. I mean, before any decisions are made, I think you need to go out and get an eye, get eyes on it.
That's, yeah, I wanted to get a tentative opinion here, and I'll take a ride down and look at it and bring Matt so I can crawl underneath it. But if it's in the condition that the pictures show, I think it's a real good bargain.
It looks clean in the pictures, but again, you gotta, see it.
You gotta
in
see
person.
it, exactly.
Kick
But for
tires.
22 grand, I mean, this could
Yeah,
be
it's
a
a great
pretty good
deal.
investment,
Yep.
or a good deal.
Really
Get a lot of
is.
years out of it.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is, in a perfect world, we would have a place we can store it that's out of the weather, when it's not being used. I don't know if that's an option.
I don't have that with hardly any of my vehicles over there at this point.
This might be something too, you go out of fund balance rather than putting in the budget itself.
Yeah.
Go right out of fund balance with it.
Well, here was gonna be my suggestion, because this is something, if we're gonna want, if we do go forward with this, we're gonna need to do this quickly. Because it's not, it's out there on Marketplace.
But you have money now, right?
Yeah, I have a vacancy here on one of the positions that hasn't been touched, that could be transferred into the equipment line, and you wouldn't have any cost going forward.
Is that a mechanic too?
Yeah, I think it is. Yes, that was the line, 119.
Where is it located?
It's about an hour into Jersey.
I'd say go kick the tires, take a look
Yeah.
at it, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
you
actually
can move
spoke with the
quickly
guy
if you
again
need
today.
to, but since you
and,
have already the money in your line,
Right,
then-
right.
It's something you can use.
Oh.
It sure is. It's something that I had, put
Budget
into the budget for
$80,000
next year, but this, it's a better quality truck. It's old technology, which is much easier to work on. And it's available now, where I'm still waiting for the pickup truck that we ordered last year.
Well, this ain't gonna last for 22 grand.
It's not, and that's why, if, I don't know if there's a way we can do this, that, if I find that it is in good condition.
I
and
think you
folks
notify
agree,
us,
then
you
yeah.
have the money in your budget.
Right.
Just-
That we
So
just
then
go-
you
yeah,
let
we'll
us
go
know,
forward with
and
it, 'cause
it's
it'll
okay,
go. It'll
and I
go.
think you buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, go see it.
Frederick's
Okay.
here, and he can,
There's not a hole in the
yeah,
box.
you go check it out and
Right.
let us know.
Okay.
But again, what I would say is.
I'll take more pictures while I'm down there, too.
I'd love to see this thing stay in the condition it's in.
Yeah, I would as well, yeah.
The way to do that is to find a solution to keep it out of the weather when it's not being used. And whether that be,
Highway, maybe.
I don't know, highway, or I don't know if it can fit in the carriage house, or. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so it's-
No, it won't fit the carriage house. I can't even get the tractor in there. That door is just not high enough.
Maybe something at the highway garage.
It's possible.
At least.
If you can at least explore options, because
Yeah.
this
I'll
looks-
speak with Mike.
looks clean now.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice if we can keep it out of the weather. And,
Yeah. I am short on storage out there to keep the vehicles inside.
But I mean, first things first, get eyes on it, see
Yep.
if it's worthy of purchasing. And
Exactly.
if he's got money in his budget, I don't have any
I don't either.
objection to him contacting us, and, as long as nobody has objections,
I don't.
move on it.
Yep.
That's why he does have the money in his budget still, so.
Yeah.
Is it diesel or gas?
It's
you know?
diesel, yeah.
Diesel.
Yeah. But it's an older diesel that doesn't have all the electronic crap on it that
Right,
today's.
no DEF or anything like that.
Yeah, no, none of that. I know, I'm a Ford guy, so I know those diesels, they're very reliable.
Yeah, is it the one that you have to heat the diesel in the wintertime?
Well, you typically
Yeah, possibly,
need to
yeah.
do that with,
Familiar with that.
yeah, with old diesels, yeah.
Yeah, go look at it.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, good. Thank you, Steve.
thank
Thanks
you.
very much. Jessica?
All right. So, first thing is, because my budget is always the budget where everyone's flipping through 5 different sections of the budget to see all the groups that my lines are in, I made packets for everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So you have the packet in there, and then you also have a supporting document on the back for further discussion on an item if you should like to have further discussion on that item tonight. But the first one
that we have up here is the senior center, which is where you're going to see the majority of the budget changes. Now, the tentative budget that was submitted by the supervisor was submitted before we received a letter from Dutchess County.
Which you just received.
Yeah, we received a letter today from Dutchess County about price increases for dial-a-ride. So we were informed by the comptroller's office that we would have to increase that budget line to $71,400 to cover that dial-a-ride increase, and the daily increase, because I brought the letter with me, the daily increase is from $230 to $255 a day for service. I've been expecting this letter to come for about 5 years now.
Yep.
So the fact that it's just coming to us this year is, you know, not unexpected.
So can I ask you a question? So you got a budget of 67,000 this year.
Mhm.
You're only at 28,750 this year through August 17th.
They bill us quarterly, and they are not always the fastest at getting us those bills.
So they build a plan, is what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I just got another bill for $14,000 that is about to get paid. I probably won't receive the fourth quarter bill until the middle of January.
Okay, and Pat will make sure it records against 2023 expenses?
I write it in big letters and put
Got it.
stars around it. So that is the only change since you've received the tentative budget, that if you're looking on the spreadsheet that I gave you, it's not going to match the budget that the supervisor submitted. It's just we don't have a choice. As we start to get down into the staff lines, of course, you see the one labeled with my name. I'm sure we're going to want to have discussion about that. For Donna Lenhart, that is coming from what the union has said. There's an increase for Meg. Now, Meg is someone who is paid hourly as our instructor. So the increase that you see between the final budget of 2023 and the budget of 2024 is actually the addition of additional services. It's not an actual increase in her pay. Meg is our fitness instructor. She does Zumba, she does yoga, she is beloved. They would like to see her here more days a week. So that increase isn't an actual hourly increase, it's an increase in services.
So let me just ask a question on these salaries real quick.
Sure.
So that's the step charts we've been talking about, right?
No, this
What is
doesn't
that?
include that. This is the contractual 3.25% increase. You know, we had a
Yeah.
3-year contract, so they're going based on the
Well,
contract
I'm looking at-
increase for next
One of
year.
these doesn't look like it's 3.25%. That's why I asked the
Well,
question.
mine certainly doesn't.
No,
But,
yeah, hers doesn't.
But
The step charts aren't
the
in there
ones
yet.
for the union,
Not
any
even
union
close.
employees, which I have 2 union employees, one being Donna, the other being Cheryl, those salary numbers are what were given to me. So any questions about those would have to go to union shop stewards in Frederick. All right, no changes to like our furniture. Every year we try to make certain upgrades to this room. Furniture goes bad, something falls apart. We're always just trying to make this place a little nicer and a little homier and things. There's an airplane landing right now in the bathroom. We occasionally have repairs that have to get made to things around here, and there could not have been more perfect timing for that.
So is 2,000 enough?
Yes, yeah, we do it in increments, so like you'll see for this year, year-to-date, we've only spent $307, but we're looking to do some replacements of the tables in here. The seniors actually want smaller tables for some safety reasons. They would actually like to be able to have more room by getting smaller tables. Arts and craft supplies stayed the same. We are trying to, if Bill turns around and looks, he sees we are well stocked in that closet. We are trying to go through what we have before we get anything new. Paper products we're doing well on. Where we start to see these major increases in the senior center budget are the things that are due to the very good reason
of our increased attendance and membership. I know that folks have come around to the parties that we have, the birthday parties, the certain events, and you see that we have got a packed house for
Well,
those.
that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. And with the increased attendance comes increased expenses. So where you see, I also kind of renamed all the budget lines on here, so because the budget lines on your sheets are very vague. So these reflect what we're actually spending this money on. So daily refreshments, you obviously see a large increase in that. We make sure we provide coffee, some donuts, some cookies, things like that for people to nosh on when they first get here in the morning. We have folks, all of our exercise classes in the morning are completely full, and then they all come here for a snack afterwards. So, we have that crew coming through. So that daily refreshment line has gone up significantly. You see a significant increase in the events, movie days, and luncheons. Now, 50% of those are revenue-generating events. The other 50% are not. They are things that we do for the seniors free of charge. So, like, we had our San Gennaro Day that they paid for. We're having our when we had our end of summer picnic, we don't charge for that one. So it's 50% revenue generating and 50% not. The
Do you ever
miscellaneous.
track that?
What?
Do you ever track it so you can see how much you got?
I do. I could come up with a chart for you because we put
It's
into.
a good thing, it's a good thing to
Yeah.
know.
We put in our, and we're never.
Because it goes into a miscellaneous general fund
Yes.
for revenue, that's the problem, and so you don't see it.
Yeah, so our computer system tracks all that. Now, I will tell you, even when we do charge them for the event, they are not paying what we're paying. If we're having a nice San Gennaro Day and we're charging you $5 and you're getting eggplant, pasta, salad, and all that kind of stuff, it certainly didn't actually only cost $5 a person on our end. The OFA summer picnic, you will see that even though there has not been money spent out of that in the last couple of years, that I still keep funding it at that same amount. The county does get certain grants and things to pay for things each year, but we always have to be prepared for the year that they are not able to provide that for us. And we will have to fulfill our obligations and pay that bill. The miscellaneous stayed the same. Holiday party, I went up a little bit because nothing ever gets less expensive. Mileage is the same. Charter bus bills, I actually went down a little bit based on our spending for this year. You see the 2,700, we still have 2 bills that haven't hit the year to date yet, but that's still only gonna bring us to about $6,000. Putting it to 7 just keeps us safe if we add anything for next year. Our copier lease. This is one that you're going to see interesting things about both in the senior center budget and in the rec budget. We have been doing a lot of color printing for both advertising and for our newsletter. And our senior center newsletter is our #1 method of getting information out to people. You would be shocked. We fill that thing in the hallway.
It's gone.
And it's gone in a matter of a couple of days. So we have tried, not we, I'm going to give full credit here to Donna. She has put together an amazing newsletter that is vibrant and really highlights what we do here. And because of that, we are getting some significant overage charges on our color printing. We've tried to dial it back a little bit, but it is one of our main ways of getting people to notice us.
Well, and there's more requests than you can fill because we
Yeah.
keep getting them. And
Yeah.
people also requesting it to be mailed out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's extremely popular.
Yeah, people ask, oh, can I bring one home for my
Yep.
neighbor?
Yeah.
Can I, all those kinds of things. Seniors do still like things on paper.
It's online also, isn't it?
All of the information itself is online
But not
under
the newsletter.
programs and things like
Is there a way
that.
you could put the newsletter online?
The exact newsletter,
Yeah.
we can, it's easier to navigate through the different program parts of our website, but we can put it as a
I think
PDF
it
as
would be
well.
good as they get
Yeah.
used to using the systems more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good idea, and it won't cost anything.
yeah, yeah.
No,
Thank you.
No problem. The NPRA conference, that's the annual conference that I do virtually for recertification. Garden Club stayed the same, and the book club stayed the same. Things like the book club, you know, as you can see, it's year-to-date through August, so if you only see about 50, a little less than 50% of it getting spent, it's because we still had half a year's worth of books to buy, and we also buy for going into the next year, so we have those prepared. Any senior center questions? Great. All right. So then we can jump into the one, the next page in that little packet should be the one marked recreation up at the top. I think I put everybody's in exactly the same order. So what we're talking about when we look at these recreation lines, which is the all in the B fund, senior center is all in the A fund, everything else we're going to be talking about is in the B fund. We have the 7020 budget groups, and we have the 7140 budget groups. The 7020s, those are our administrative lines. So you have Cheryl, you have the playground inspector, Jessica Dickinson, who has done it for us this year. We're in talks to see if we can get one of Steve's gentlemen certified next year so that we can have an in-house playground inspector, but that's a talk for January. You'll notice, and it's an interesting crossover between what you were talking about with Steve before. I left that park attendance line in there, and it is blank, but I wanted to make sure it was still on everyone's radar because I do know we've been having all of these talks about opening and closing bathrooms and gates and things like that. So just, it's in there, it's blank, but it's to keep it in your minds as something that we have always talked about, trying to figure that situation out. No real significant changes except, again, the copier line through there. When you
Our copiers are leased, correct?
Yes.
Our copiers are leased.
Is yours an efficient color copier?
It's within the,
No.
yeah, it's new within the last 3 years, and I'll tell you, I mean,
Yeah, we
Atlas,
basically replaced all of them within the
Yeah.
last few years.
Atlas-
COVID, no.
Because like I have one that's
yeah.
mixed use and it's not the best copy.
No.
Yeah. Atlas, when we first got it, they're like, oh, no, you'll never get any overages. With this package, you've got so many bundled in there, and it's a challenge accepted, Atlas.
Yeah, exactly.
We certainly can. So then you're really not seeing any increases through the recreation program staff. You'll see some of them have nothing expended out of them yet because those are fall and winter programs. So like aerobics, basketball, soccer, which is an indoor soccer, but no changes in those lines. No real changes down in the equipment lines, except another decrease in the summer movies because of what it turned out to cost this year. I did decrease that one by 500. All right.
Let's go back with one question. 106B, it says safety inspector. That's new for 1,500. What is that?
So that's the one that listed on mine. I gave it its real name, which is playground inspector. And it's not new. It was new like 5 years ago. I just don't think new has ever come off of.
Because there's no money against it this year.
There should be 1,500.
And there's a department, 1,500, but there's zero expense.
Oh, because she hasn't billed us yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is she?
Oh, Jessica Dickinson. Sorry. She just hasn't billed us yet.
Got it.
All right. Any questions in that grouping? All right. Our next one in your pile should be events. Oh, great. Okay. I didn't ask for a huge amount. There were some from department tentative that went back down. I'm okay with
most of them. The only one that I would ask the board to reconsider is taking the Community Day one back up to 20. Nothing ever gets less expensive, and that is an expensive event. So my department request for that was 20. It was reduced to 18, but all of the other reductions within there I can make do with. It's not a problem at all. But that community one, I would ask the board to reconsider.
How do we look with respect to Community Day this year?
So, that's a really interesting situation. I'm going to be presenting you with two different Community Day reports. One which is if we actually paid out everything that we would have had to have paid out if we had been operational for 4 days. And the second is what we actually paid out. Because you got to figure, we very luckily and generously, none of the marching bands made us pay them, okay, for the parade. We had one that we actually contractually should have paid, but they said, listen, we like you guys, we've been working with you for a while, don't worry about it, we'll see you next year. One of our bands for Saturday, we did not have to pay them. One of the bands for Saturday, we did have to pay them because everybody was swearing the rain was going to stop at 6. So we were amping up to open by 6:30. Those folks were there in a waiting pattern, so we have to pay them. So I'm going to give two separate reports on that because right now I don't know what the difference is going to be between what we actually spent and what we would have spent on that event.
How much did we make on the rides? Do you know offhand?
I do know offhand. So last year we had about 11,000 for 4 open days. This year we did over 7,000 with one day where the Weather Channel app was sending people info that it was going to start raining every 10 minutes Friday night, and a day of being closed. So if you look day for day at the last year versus this year, on the days we were open, we made exactly as much, if not more, on the open days.
So the one thing that doesn't take into account here is when you spend 18 or 20,000 on celebrations, you get an offset in revenue, again, goes into a general fund.
Correct.
So this is another one that happens too. So we get revenue for it, and it's never, you don't really see what the P&L looks
So
like.
I usually do towards the end of I don't usually do it during budget time which would be a great and smart time to do it, but I tend to do it at the end of the year to do a full year recreation report that has all of the programs and events with each of their incomes and expenses. So you will have that from me. I couldn't have had that for you today if I tried, just because we do have some outstanding expenses. But we will have that.
I think we need to go back to September.
No, I will lose our rides company.
We need 4 days, right?
We need 4 days with our rides company, and 2, we ended up in October, which it's been, with the exception of it being pretty cold this year, we have had great success with that particular weekend. All of the carnival companies on the East Coast, for the years and years that I was calling, trying to get us somebody in September, have got their September dates booked. And one of the only reasons we were able to do it that Columbus Day weekend is that a company added on an extra week to their season to accommodate us.
I'm just not sold on the 4-day model. I'm not sold on the Columbus Day. I'm not sold on the location.
Oh, I'm not sold on the location. I
that-
just
I
wish
mean,
we could find somewhere else.
I think we need to have some conversations before we obligate ourselves to that weekend next year. I'm not very comfortable with the fact that it gets dark so early in October. People trying to cross the street. I mean, we can have deputies everywhere, which we did, but
Yeah.
people are still running between cars. I saw somebody almost get hit by a car.
I
So,
agree with you.
there's just, and I think you did a great job under the circumstances this year. And certainly the revenue is appreciated under that model. But I think before we sign anything or agree on anything for 2024, we should reevaluate the approach post January 1st.
Oh, I gotta start thinking about that before January 1st, but we'll talk about it January 1st. All right.
Thank you.
So any additional?
Yeah, I would suggest that we consider, whether it's celebration or community events, adding some money that's most likely going to have to be spent next year, because 2025 is the 150th anniversary of this town's
Correct.
incorporation.
Correct.
And if there's going to be a 150-year celebration, which I expect there will be, then that's in May, assuming we stick to that timetable. There's going to have to be planning, and then whether it's, sign-ups, whether or not it's souvenirs, there's all sorts of expenses
Yeah.
that's going to have to come next year rather than in 2025. And that may also
Yeah.
be, Bill, in connection with what you're saying, is that we look at something that is at a different date in connection with that 150th anniversary. That's for someone else to decide, not me. But I think we need to be putting some money aside for that in the budget for next year, because there's going to be planning expenses that have to be done in advance of 2025.
Good point.
I would say we go with that community events line, if we're looking to put some money
Because
into
if you
it.
have bands, if you have fireworks,
Yeah.
there's going to, some of it, maybe it is the community day, but I think that it's, as I've thought about it, which we didn't put in the tentative because I
Yeah.
wanted to discuss it first.
Yeah.
But, it probably put a $10,000 line in.
Yeah.
And, because those things can be more expensive than anything.
Oh, yeah, and the one year that we did the 145th, even though the anniversary is in May, we did roll it in with Community Day in October. But if we're looking to have something that's a little more standalone for 150 years, you're talking like the $10,000
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the 150th is a huge,
Huge.
that's a
Yeah.
huge milestone for this
Yeah.
town.
Yep.
And we're gonna have to, put money in the budget in '24 to
Yeah.
prep for that '25. That's a good point, so.
But before 24, before 25, 24, there will be expenses.
Correct, right.
Yeah. Fair amount.
Yeah.
Because there'll
I
probably
think-
be some memento there was in the past,
Yeah.
whether it's a 125th or a
Yeah.
100th, from what I've seen.
Right, oh, yeah.
And that takes time to order and so forth, and actually, there probably should be a committee that's formed at the beginning of the year as part of the organization, whoever's sitting in this chair, right? So, but I think we should budget something right now. I don't know the preference of the board, I suggest 10,000, but from my experience in doing celebrations in
Do we
Texas
want-
and Jersey.
Do we want to create a .409?
Yeah, it should be a separate line.
I mean, I think we can certainly add it. I don't know if I want to add it now, but we can always add it, as we're going through budget discussions. 'cause-
Yeah, anniversary, I'd say.
Yep.
Anniversary.
Yeah, so it'll just be
Yeah.
a change we make, that's all.
Yeah.
That's a good
tonight.
idea.
Yeah, I would give it its own separate line. All right, so do we have any other events questions? Okay. Last one is summer camp. Summer camp again. We have me, that's where the other half of me comes out of. Very few changes in there. We made it through right under the wire with our camp counselor pay, but I have not yet seen the schedule for how minimum wage is going to continue on its way to $15, because even though they said it's on its way to $15, the timetable that they had for upstate New York, actually, we're off that chart already. So some slight increases in t-shirts, things don't get cheaper. First aid training, that's another one similar to the county picnic. You might see that we have not spent money out of it in 2 years because we have been able to get that training for free, but if we are ever not able to get that training for free, we have to have the money in there to pay for it. We have an increase in lunches and picnics. Those are actually revenue generating lines. When we have special days out there for Chinese food or pizza or whatever, the kids are paying their way into that. But nothing gets less expensive, but that's a revenue generating line. As well as is a good portion of field trips. Not all of our bills have come in yet for field trips that are reflected on here, so that's why you see me asking for an increase, even though we didn't
hit our max yet. There's some that hadn't hit in this August number. Those, similar to the senior thing, are 50% revenue generating. So the kids pay to go on the trips. Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you.
The kids pay to go on the trip, we pay for the bus. So that is that one. And then there are no additional changes within summer camp.
What else do you have?
That's it, man.
So let me just say this, again, thank you for your hard work on Community Day. I know that, it was a difficult decision to have to cancel the parade. I understand, I get, some people are gonna make comments. I saw some comments on social media, but just understand that the right decision was made. That was a windy, monsoonish rainfall, and I talked to Al about this, I think, the day before. It's very hard to justify trying to do a parade when you have wind and rain. Then it becomes a safety issue, right?
There's a difference between rain and shine and monsoon and shine.
Yeah, like that was a storm that I think would have impacted the safety of not only those in the parade, but the lineup, right?
Yep.
And folks that are on the sidelines. So it's unfortunate that the parade had to be canceled. Another municipality had a parade the next day, so it wasn't an option to switch it to that day. I get that.
Yeah, well, and also something that I don't know if a lot of people realize, this parade's grown so much over the years that it's almost become impossible to have a rain date. We had over 65 individuals and groups that were registered for this parade, which is more than we've had any year in the past. So
yeah, and the other thing is even with the Dutchess County St. Patrick's Parade, there's no rain date because you booked the bands for that day. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you could say, okay, we're going to go to Sunday, and they're booked for the neighboring town.
Yeah.
So just want to say, I know that it bothered you that we had to make that decision.
I believe I used the word heartbroken, but that's okay.
Just understand that, from my perspective at least, I understand it was a hard decision.
Yeah.
I don't really see any other options,
No.
and I thought about it a lot that day. And it's just, it's unfortunate, but we'll make up for it next time.
I think you understood my comments
Yep,
to you.
yep.
That was the right decision
Yes.
from a safety perspective.
Absolutely.
And if anybody had a problem with that they could call, they could call the board.
There are definitely times when you know something is the absolute right thing to do, but it still gets you right here,
And you're always going to have those individuals, the keyboard warriors.
Yes.
That's right.
And just take it with a grain of salt.
Understood.
Our constituents are the most important.
Yes, and there were
Safety is
I can tell you there were a whole bunch of football and cheer moms who went, oh, thank goodness we don't have to do this in the rain.
Speaking of that, here's the certificates.
Oh, thanks for finally getting those back.
We just finished signing. There you go. Tonight was the rain date for the signing of the certificate.
Exactly. All right, so any other questions?
I just have one thing. Do you own 7145?
7145, then those are the stipends, correct?
That's for like soccer and all that stuff?
Those were taken over maybe 7 or 8 years ago to be discussed at the discretion of the board, outside of mine.
I mean, there's no change, so it's no problem. I just wasn't sure if that was you or not.
Nope, those were,
So this is the town board one?
yeah.
I do think that we, as a town board, not right here at this moment, I think individually you should take a look at 7620.1. We should take a look at the memo that was provided. We should put some thought into that line.
Agreed.
I also agree, thank you.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. I think this was the quickest I've ever gone, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Have a great night, everybody.
Okay, you too. And thank you, Cheryl, too, for all your great work.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I told her she's the assistant director now, so if I had to be here, she'd have to stay.
Yes, thank you.
But thank you for the great job on Community Day.
She did, you know what, I'm gonna give her props before I leave. The enormous increase in the Wappinger Central School District's participation in this event and this parade.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
And she even included John Jay because
Yeah.
I made her.
That's fine. Great partner.
I'm one of the only people from this side of town that went to Jay, so.
Yeah,
I
still don't
did
get
want to
that.
say that in follow-ups after the cancellation, the school district groups that we've brought in for this year, like Mask and Mime and Proscenium, they're very excited about continuing in the future.
Yeah.
Great.
And they're actually going to work with us so that they'll have some things ready to present
Right.
at the,
And in discussions with Superintendent Bonk, he wants to explore other ways for extending that throughout the year, not just at this event or a couple others. So Dwight was talking with me, and yeah, he was saddened to see it, change, but he agreed with the decision and does want these groups and others to work with us more closely.
Well, it's always good when the kids are involved in their
Absolutely.
community.
Yep.
And as hard
they
as it
take
is,
ownership.
as hard as it is to believe, I was not an athlete at Ketchum. I am Mask and Mime alumni, so thanks for involving them.
What, you weren't an athlete?
Surprising,
Thank
isn't it?
you.
Yeah.
Well, at least one of us was on this board.
Quarterback.
Thank you. Thank you, Frederick. Good night.
Thank you, Fred.
See you. See you later.
We're one of those onesies.
You say you're a cheerleader?
Oh, jeez.
I don't want to know.
That's off the record.
Okay, let's move into resolutions. Jim, we have two of them, the tabled one and the new one. This is the Myers Corner, as far as the pilot. You want to
Yeah,
explain
so
what you've done and
I
been doing
made,
with respect to those?
So there was an amended resolution.
Right.
Actually, to make things clean, Joe's suggestion, and I agree with
I
it,
agree.
was to take off the old resolution and just add the new resolution with the new numbers. And based on that.
So we're taking out 97.
So to take it out, Joe,
134?
you need any action?
Correct.
No, not at all.
No, so I
So-
think we just.
So do we need a motion
I
to
agree.
Okay.
Make a motion to withdraw.
number 97?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll second that.
Okay. Motion and second, and all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Now we have the new resolution.
All right, so on the new resolution,
2023-134.
right,
Amended resolution authorizing
That still has
payment in
the old
lieu of
dollar
taxes
amount in there, by the
agreement
way.
with Old Myers New.
Still has the wrong dollar amount, still got the 5,400 in there.
Yeah.
the 54.
Yep. That's what the other
Okay,
one.
so that's the so the total amount,
we
it's
were
gonna, that's the total amount. 5,400 is the total paid. So the town amount has changed from 70214 to 81285.
Total includes the county and school and so forth, right? Yes.
So,
But I thought we were trying to make 5,400, 6,500.
Yeah, that's what I thought also.
That's what
That-
that's
that's
what we're
right.
supposed to do.
that's right, and that's where it's, well, it wasn't, it's per megawatt, okay? So we did it per megawatt, so it went from 2,500 per megawatt, or 2,700 per megawatt, and it went to 43 per megawatt, so the total would be 8, but not, it's only going up on our end. Not, the whole amount is not going up to 860, it's only the town amount that's, so the pilot annually would go up by $112.
The school stays.
The school stays the same, the
No,
county
but-
stays the same.
But I thought the total was supposed to be 5,400 and then you redo everything.
So the total's not gonna be 50, the total is 5,400 plus,
It's another $100, so you're looking at 5,500.
correct.
We asked for 65.
Right.
No,
Yeah, but he
no,
negotiated.
it's,
and-
it's, again, so, it's, the numbers are based on per megawatt, so it was, so 60, so we actually got based on, it would be based on 8,600. So if you do 8,600, I don't know what the, the percentage is based on, let me go back and look at,
And the county piece stays the same?
county stays the same, school stays the same. So the original offer was $2,700 per megawatt. And then our pro rata share is based on 4,300 per megawatt.
So let me ask you a question. Is this supposed to, so if you added the 4187 to 702 and 702, you're supposed to get 5,400. It's actually 5,591, not 5,400. And if you added the extra 100, you're looking at 5,700. I do something wrong?
Let's see, so the calculation, so the offer is for us, based on 4,300 megawatts, $4,300 per megawatt, and there's two, I believe it's two.
I'm just adding up the numbers in the file here.
What's that?
I'm just adding up the numbers in the file here. They don't add up to 54, 5,500. They don't add up to either one of those numbers.
Oh, that was, let's see, that was from the original. Let's see what, hold on.
I'll do it again.
Are you looking at the resolution numbers, or are you looking at the,
Okay, so.
That's what it added up to. 5,591 before you made the 100 and some odd dollar change.
From the old numbers, it's not adding up.
Well, that's not what's here. So which one is right?
So, what was on the original total was.
You had 4187, 47, 702, 14 twice.
why
So
is
it's-
70214 twice?
Yeah.
What's seven?
Should be 51039, 70214, and 418747. That's 5,400.
So the original breakdown, so it was based on 2 megawatts. So the original, the original proposal based on,
So is the megawatt rate, is that fixed, so it is what it is? And so, looking at the total, to get the total from 5,400 on this sheet to 6,500 is not gonna work, is that what you're telling me?
say that again? Yeah, so the original pilot amount, right, was 51039 to the town, 70214
To the county.
to the county, and 4,187.47
But this
to the
says,
school.
I mean, I'm looking at the thing. It says 70214 twice.
Right, but the resolution's not correct, and the actual
What does it say?
calculation is on the page after the resolution.
Yeah.
So if you look at the email, it looks like an email from Henry to Jim.
Yeah.
That has the 2 megawatt formula.
So we really gotta, you really gotta fix the numbers on the front page.
The resolution's not correct.
That's right, that's my whole point.
Yeah.
Okay, 70214 is the county.
Yeah.
School districts is 418747.
Correct.
And then the town is now,
51039.
well, no, that's what it was, but it is now
812.
81285.
Okay. So then there's a new total.
So it's 56 and change. That's my point.
Yeah, I agree.
You get 5702?
That's what I got, yeah.
Okay.
.46.
Yep. We just fix it.
Yes.
If it is what it is.
Add it, amend the resolution to
Yeah,
Plus
that's fine.
put the proper number.
7.47.
I mean, the
Right.
lion's share of this is school.
570246?
Yep.
You got it.
Yeah, so that's the total.
Yep.
That's what the total should be.
Say that again?
5702.46.
Can you,
All right.
you got that, Joe?
All right.
I don't have the attachments anymore.
Okay.
Read the numbers again for the record, Jim,
So
from
the
the
record-
school, the town, and the county, and the
So the
total.
school is $4,187.47.
Jim,
Town
I
is
have the attachments.
$812.85.
They were withdrawn, so you'll have to.
Okay, I'll put that in.
Town is $812.85 and county $702.14.
Right.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. So with that amendment, which now gets you to 570246, I make a motion we approve.
That's the only change, right, Al?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jim, for getting that done finally. Okay, the next item is Resolution 2023-135, resolution authorizing contract to purchase real property adjacent to Reese
I'll
Park.
move that.
So I have one question on that, because I'm looking at, we asked for a price, and Bill, I don't know if you saw this or not.
Yes, I did.
So $90,000 in addition to take this down, plus any other expenses we may
No,
have.
that
So we're looking at
wasn't-
more than $150,000.
No, that wasn't 90.
It's based on condemnation.
Yep.
So the way, so that, it was $90,000 if they couldn't get in,
Right.
because then the whole building would be considered hazardous material.
Correct.
But we don't know that.
If they can get in, which they can,
Yeah.
then it's,
7385.
and access is allowed in sale, 77,385 to evaluate, $6,500 for drawings, if, for construction drawings, if there's any asbestos found.
Yeah, we have to assume that
Yeah.
that's going to happen. So,
Should we, along with the purchase, authorize the testing as soon as the purchase is complete?
In other words,
Well, you
do you
could-
add it to the purchase price, is what he's
Yes,
saying?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to, I can.
I mean,
Yes.
This way you increase
See,
it.
the
I thought it'd
resolution
be-
includes certain costs.
Yes, it did.
I thought that the real
have to-
property resolution had to be separate and distinct from the environmental impact, but,
There is no environmental impact,
or whatever the
Because
environmental
for-
analysis.
because for purposes of seeker, acquisition of parks less than 25 acres is a type 2 action not subject to seeker review. So, and we're purchasing out of fund balance, so there's no tax money, current tax appropriation for it, and it's not being bonded. So based on those requirements, there's no need for permissive referendum.
Right.
And there's no need for seeker review. So the only issue is basically, the cost of acquisition and the cost of doing whatever you want to do. What the resolution I drafted had not to exceed 200,000
Yep.
for a transfer from B fund balance to a capital line not to exceed 200,000
Yep.
for acquisition, and then, if you want to
Any other
do,
costs?
so, cost of demolition, cost of evaluation, and then, the only other thing that'd be out there is a survey. And then if you want to do, any kind of, like, planning,
Right.
like where to locate trails or things like
Yeah.
that. So, I'm just
Yeah, I'm-
spitballing, I mean, 200,000 is probably light, but
And we'll
I,
see if we can get some grant money
Yeah.
for trails and so
Right,
forth. I mean, I think.
yeah, I mean, I think we've, I've looked at the property, I know
Yeah.
other members have also, on parcel access, we have to create some trails to get back to the Greenway.
And I've
Trail.
walked
That's
out
not a
there, yeah.
problem.
It's not a
I think at
problem.
this point, though, buying the property, establishing a capital fund, establishing using unallocated B fund balance in the amount not to exceed 200,000 is a good approach at this moment. So again, my motion stands.
I'll second it.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or objections, any abstentions, I'm sorry. Seeing none, the motion passes. Thank you.
so I guess, just kind of as a corollary to the thing that just came in this afternoon, I don't know if you want to do a resolution from the board or from the floor authorizing
A
that
CPO.
contract. It was actually Quest.
Quest, okay.
So,
Make a motion to authorize
Yeah.
Quest to
Second.
do the environmental.
Yep. Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Okay, anything else, Jim, on that?
No.
survey, anything?
No, we have a survey, or we're
Okay.
requesting a survey.
Okay, very good.
And we've ordered title insurance, or
Okay.
title search.
So then you can properly print out the contract.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a closing.
Did
and
I
all-
circulate the
I mean, there's
contract with
something
it?
in here.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, that's the contract.
Yeah, there's
so-
an email on it too,
Yeah.
so, okay.
That's
Very
fine.
good. Very good. Thank you. And I'll let,
That's basically the form
I'll
residential
let
contract that we
the
have.
Von Bergs know.
There's a lot of-
Yeah, I think, they asked earlier today.
Is there
So
anything?
once we get clear title, we should be able to close.
And then I think we can talk about what we want to do with
Yeah.
respect to it and name it and.
Oh, and that's
so
the
on.
other thing too, there was some, requirements for
There are
like
a few,
flagpole.
four
and a
things,
plaque,
yeah.
That's
Which-
fine. We'll get to that.
Which
Yep.
theoretically is in the 200,000. but
That's
if you
not a
wanna-
problem, and the contents of the building, are they still in there?
I don't know.
We don't know.
All right,
They
so-
don't know what's
All
in
right,
there.
So we need to have that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the contract says broom clean.
Yeah.
so.
Right, there's some things that I think that need to be
Yep.
worked out prior
Yep.
to.
And
Yeah, certainly.
they're very amenable to all that.
Yep.
No problem, thanks.
Same with them. Okay, very good. Next resolution, 2023-136, resolution authorizing re-levy of unpaid 2023 water and sewer charges.
This is a standard thing, right?
Standard thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I'll move it.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Next item is resolution 2023-137, this acknowledgement of the correspondence log.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Any items for special consideration, new business?
I got a couple
Bill,
items
yeah.
here. I think that, a serious note here, I think we do need to pause as a town and reflect for a moment the significance of what is happening
Right.
in Israel.
Totally.
For those that are impacted, whether directly or indirectly, within our town or within our region, certainly it should be said that what has occurred there is an act of terrorism, and certainly from my position, we would condemn anything of that magnitude.
I
This
agree.
is being compared to 9/11, this is being compared to Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
And what's happening to innocent civilians is unfathomable. So certainly, I think if we can just pause for a moment
Yep.
and reflect on the impact, it would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Separate note, let's see here for a second here. I took some notes here. Let's bring up. Just give me 1 second to find what I'm looking for here. Okay. So, I was able to secure a citizen preparedness training class for the town hall on Wednesday, October 25th, which is open to the public for residents. Tomorrow, it's going to be announced, and there'll be a flyer posted. There'll be a registration link, since the town hall meeting room only seats, up to X number. I got to check and see what the number is, but in previous years when we did this, you'd get 30 people come to these things, but now I'm finding post-COVID, a lot more people come. So in order to ensure that we're not over capacity, there will be a mechanism to register for that training. So that's Wednesday, October 25th at 6:30 p.m. Doors, 7 o'clock. The training begins. That'll be here. Wanted to mention also, for Councilwoman Bettina, there had been some discussions over the last week. There were some issues down at your boat ramp. When all that rain, it brought in trees and all sorts of
Mother
large
Nature.
debris that came up on that boat ramp, and someone from the sheriff's office just mentioned it to me and sent a picture, and I forwarded it to Steve, and he was able to clear that boat ramp the same day just for emergency access. So it was cleared that day.
Thank you. Steve, it's like an ongoing problem down there.
Whenever
right?
we have these torrential rains,
Yeah.
that's what we end up with.
Yeah, unfortunately, thank you.
Yeah.
There was a whole tree somehow,
Yes. Yeah.
a whole tree
Yeah.
standing up out of the water like 15 feet.
Mother Nature's amazing.
It was crazy.
Yes, she
So
can,
I wanted to mention to you, and I apologize
Thank
for
you.
not calling
That's
you.
all right.
But it was one of those things where I said, Steve, this is now an access issue if there's an emergency out
And
there.
never
And
get
he
out.
got out there and he sent me a picture of it clear, like within 24 hours. I don't even know. I'm not sure if you did that or if the current took all that stuff
It was
away.
myself and one of the guys, but we were still setting up for Community Day at the same
Right.
time.
They dropped
It's
everything to go
awful
do
down
that.
there, This stuff.
Um,
But thank you.
And then lastly, it should be mentioned that we had a very serious accident on Route 9 involving a motorcycle within the last week. Individual was seriously injured. But I just want to mention again, our emergency services worked seamlessly to provide the highest level of care to this individual, and a number of civilians, believe it or not, stopped and provided life-saving care to this individual who is still alive.
Oh, God bless them.
Thank
Really.
God. But I wanted to mention that to the town board. We landed a helicopter on Route 9 to transport this individual to Westchester Medical Center. And through the work of civilians and first responders, this individual is still alive. So that's all I have. Thank you.
We
I
are
can tell
very
you-
blessed in this town to have our
That was a great job by the emergency service. I was
They really
actually
did.
in the traffic when I saw the helicopter coming down, because they diverted all the stuff, so.
No, it's not.
No.
Not a good thing, but,
But we
I mean,
are
they did a
blessed.
great job. I mean, everybody, the emergency service people were out there, fire trucks, everybody did an excellent job, and thank God, Bill, good news, he's still alive.
Yes. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
everybody, tell your family you love them, because your life can change in a heartbeat.
That's true.
As we just saw.
Yeah, very good. Jim, we still prepared to discuss the personnel issue? Or not?
Prefer to discuss it in executive.
No, I mean that.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, because we're at a point for executive session.
Sure.
Okay, so, I have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing a personnel issue.
Second.
Okay, motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Okay. Go down to